bonus on it, like moving up the stairs and stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to pump when the end comes down. And the last phase is like all just you fucking blasting until the boss
I just
dies.
hated
So
the
I
slipping
don't know.
slide.
The
I
last phase was definitely
I'm
the
not gonna
best.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. The bottom two were very like barely made the cut. They're like kind of the worst of the or the best of the worst.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would probably put Assault above it now that I'm thinking about it. I would switch them, but meh.
I
Okay.
do like how it looks, right? It looks like a boss fight, right?
I think
I
it's a cool
think, in
idea
my
for a
The
boss.
opinion,
theme is cool.
I have played Sinarth as a healer. I have played Sinarth as a melee. I have played Sinarth as a range. So I've done it on all three on prog each time. And my opinion of Sinarth, and I've done it as a tank actually. I've done all four. Wow, I did not know that. I think Sinarth, in my opinion, is actually seeing it from every perspective possible. It's not. It was like my 15, 16 slot.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's
It's not
actually
that
not
bad.
that bad. It's just I think the ice is frustrating, and it's very frustrating with the tornadoes and like the moving up
Yep.
doesn't work. If it wasn't for the ice, I actually think the fight probably is significantly improved. And like other than that, I actually think the boss is kind of interesting healer wise, like with the big ad and how it pulls its damage. So I can see it totally.
Oh, imagine ice, but like randomly throughout the floor, there were little speed boosts. But when you got the speed boost, the ice no longer affected you.
What?
Yeah, just think
Interesting.
about that.
All right, Alec, what's your 14th?
Aeronog.
I have it higher. Vel, what's your 14th?
Volcaros.
I have it higher.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
We're never gonna talk about these bosses.
Wow.
We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Okay, Milo.
14 is no root.
Higher.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. You guys are surprising me right now. Kaimaki.
Cathara.
Did anyone have
Higher.
Kazara higher?
Higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. Right, my 13th is Assault. Does anyone have it higher?
Nar.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
The reason I actually thought about it a lot and why I like Assault is it was really inoffensive, and I thought it was going to be really bad, and then I was pleasantly surprised when it was actually kind of like a decent AoE fight where you get to pump from a raid strategy perspective, and a lot of this, I think a lot of this probably pollutes my rankings. There was a lot that you could do with who you send to each side. You could actually overweight one side compared to the other. You could focus on killing phoenixes, or you could CC the phoenixes. You could focus on rocks, or you could let them come up and use your rocks on different things. And that was kind of interesting from a perspective of strategy. But also, I really like how the boss changed halfway through, where it basically went from a AoE ad fight to a single target burn fight, and it was cool because it was like, okay, we kill the boss in like 45 seconds, and that was cool, like a DPS check where everyone goes DPS, you have one tank, one healer, and you fucking nuke the thing. So I thought it was kind of just an interesting boss that was inoffensive, and it had some cool concepts with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I put it just because of the 45-second kill.
I like it as a healer because it's like you just get to start sending CDs. You just start ripping everything for like a minute until it dies, and you just get the full send. I think that was
part is
fun.
fun. Yeah. It's been
And
so
yeah,
long
you're
since
right.
I've
It's
thought
very
that.
inoffensive. It doesn't like
It doesn't really
like you're
do
never
anything wrong.
yeah, it like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of a vibe for a few minutes. You get some like really whatever loot, and then yeah, you just move along.
And then the boss behind the
I
door.
think
Yeah.
I think the reason it didn't make my list is because it's been so long since I've fought it as a normal fight that I'm just disappointed.
Fair.
It's literally 16 for me. Like it just barely missed the cut.
All right, Light, what is your 13?
Lairdar.
Wow.
Wow.
Higher.
Higher.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Okay,
sick.
Alec?
Amalgamation.
I have it higher.
Okay.
Vel?
Council of Dreams.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
Lower.
No.
Way lower.
No way. How?
No way. Please explain because
Actually,
there's no
like,
way
did you
anyone
not?
else.
The fact that Volcross and Council are there, I have to believe. No one else has that, right? Okay, yeah.
No.
I think it's a healer
Ducks?
take because
I
as a
think
No,
healer
it's
I
you
don't
don't
even think it's a
focus.
healer
No,
take.
I hate Counter.
I feel like
just like
it's
ducks?
because you didn't actually do like Vault
It's an
and
8-minute fight.
you didn't do Vault and Aberrus like in their entirety as a Mythic Raider, did you?
No.
Okay, I
That
think that's
could
where this is
definitely play
coming
in,
from.
yeah.
You know,
I'll be
But
fuck
honest.
I did
Council.
enjoy. I enjoyed Council's healing profile. It was very consistent. I got to blast. I was like top healer in my guild at the time, so I had a good time.
And then you get
Yeah.
ducked.
As a healer, I didn't
Yeah,
mind it.
occasionally I got ducked, but we were trying to keep that on like the range. So
As a healer, I don't mind it. I actually prefer this one over Primal's Council. But
yeah,
as a
like our group
DPS,
tried to
that
keep the
drops down to like
ducking
bottom.
See,
to a
okay.
specific area. So if I ever got ducked, it was my fault.
So if I'm looking at it as a pure just healing profile, it is kind of fun just to pump, but it's also extremely frustrating when you die at like the 7-minute mark and you have to do the entire fight over again.
I
just
think
want to
Council of
die.
Dreams would
I
be
mean-
much
8
less
minutes.
offensive if two things happened. If first, they shortened the fight length, and second,
Yeah.
they made ducks not randomly target people, but it was like a soak mechanic. Like there was a swirly on the ground, you soaked that swirly, and you became a duck. And I think
I agree.
that would fix the fight from being really toxic and cancer to being just not a good fight. But from
True.
a leadership perspective, that is one of the worst fights they've released in a super long time. Like the strat that we use to kill this thing is so fucking stupid, having two people bounce the duck
Yeah.
back and forth so that you get less flowers, and like it's just obnoxious. Like I don't know. I absolutely despise the fight. That would be my least favorite fight, not only this expansion, but it's up there for the worst fight ever released, like with Stone Legion generals.
Dude, getting
Alright.
duck
I was-
griefed is like
I was
when dude
raid leading.
You guys are roasting.
I was
What's your
raid
third-
leading for this fight, and like my guild has hundreds of pulls on this fucking fight, but
Hu-
I still enjoyed
Hu-
it.
Wait, say psych.
No, my guild was bad. You guys should know that. My guild was bad.
Hundreds?
Yes.
Damn.
How did you
Alright.
come out with any enjoyment from it? Oh my
Dude.
god.
loves ducks.
Holy fuck.
What's your 13, Milo?
Okay, Milo, what
mean,
is your 13? Yeah, let's keep
Lardar
it
is
moving.
worse and he's higher, so
Bro, I might have
Broodkeeper.
just stopped mythic rating if we had hundreds of
Who,
pulls on
what did you say,
console.
Milo?
Rude.
Diurna. Broodkeeper Diurna.
Does anyone
Higher.
have Broodkeeper higher?
Hell no.
I do.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
Okay,
I'm telling
Kaimaki.
you, I have healer takes.
Yeah,
Echo.
you're gonna get
Echo.
roasted for me. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Wow.
Higher.
Wow.
I just think
What?
it could have been so much better.
Hey,
Okay,
hey,
but
Okay,
Shut
I
up.
can understand Echo being
Post.
higher for Alec because he's post weak aura degeneracy, but Kaimaki, did you do this on Real Prog?
Mythic, no.
Okay, so I can
that
that's
explains it.
understandable.
yeah,
This is
mine
also
mine
down
is-
there for one of the worst bosses of all time. Also, this is not updating, by the way.
Honestly, if
Oh,
I'm
no.
ranking this off of Echo from this season, he's definitely higher for me. But I'm scarred.
I will hold my tongue until we get to it.
Fair.
And keep in mind, guys, this is like based off of our enjoyment of it
Of
as well.
course.
Yeah, no,
Like a
the-
lot of
the-
fights, it's like, oh, I only experienced this in heroic.
Yeah,
Um,
same. Same.
Okay. So let's then I guess we go to my 12th. I have Magmorax.
Higher.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Light, what is your 12th?
Wow.
Nimue.
Up
I
close.
have it higher.
Yeah, same.
To be fair, the middle of my list is kind of I didn't like they're all kind of close in my head. It was hard for me to, but yeah.
Hold on, let me see if I can fix this.
So, mama.
That did not work.
Yeah, it's fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's kind of easy to get like a heat map anyway.
The fact that it's not working, what pisses us off.
I believe
It
it's
should be
trying to
working.
divide by 0.
Thanks.
You can't do that. Come on,
Yeah, that's a no-no.
an undefined.
Hold on. I got it.
What's up, quiz?
Ooh.
We're back at it again.
See, we stole the other Max's idea. Now we're doing tier lists.
It's still not updating. Cringe. Okay, we'll figure it out. Anyways, Alec, what's
Wait,
your
the other Max? That's
12?
Yeah, the other Max.
Gennaro Ryut.
Does anyone have gnarl root higher?
Nope.
Okay, give your gnarl root take, Alec. Go ahead.
I just think for me personally, like I mean, I've only experienced a handful of tiers. I think this is like the best first boss that I've experienced, and I mean, I'm a sucker for damage amps in fights. And but I also will say that the reason it's not higher is because of the intermission. Like having an intermission where you're just fucking standing there is a little meh. But
I mean, you
like,
could hit him. He just doesn't do any
yeah,
damage.
yeah, but like, yeah. So having ads, damage amp, yeah, I think it's a for a first boss. I think it's really good. So yeah, I mean, it's not
I like
super
it.
high, but
Milo, do you have it at
Yeah.
14 for the same reasons?
Yeah, same. I mean, it's not the best first boss for me, but I like it because there's ads you can pet at. It's not very important if you pet, like you'll still kill it. You don't feel as bad as if you're patting on a really important boss. It's nice damage
He's like so
amp.
bad. Got it.
Yeah.
No, I
I
respect
mean,
it. I respect it.
for me, gnarl root actually is my least favorite first boss this tier by quite a large margin.
Yeah.
Just because of like it doesn't actually do anything. Like at no point in gnarl root am I feeling like anything's happening. Like it's just and the damage is kind of annoying the way that it comes out with like you just get bursted really fucking hard when all 4 debuffs come out and then it's
Yep.
nothing for the next like hour and then you get bursted really fucking hard again. And then you have this weird intermission where it fucks your parse if you don't decide to go on the side where the tanks are so that you can keep DPSing the ads that are still alive. And then you have the damage amp, which is at a really unsatisfying, like 2-minute, 30-second into the fight. So 3-minute classes have to hold awkwardly at the beginning. I don't know. I don't like it, but I can see why some people would. It's just definitely not my personal enjoyment of the boss.
I wonder if they wanted to make it 3 minutes, but they're like, "Fuck, that's so long." Like, let's just put
for a
it at
first
two.
boss,
Let's just put it at 2.5, just so the boss ends a little quicker. Like,
It's a
no, they're probably just like,
14.
yo,
what are we gonna make him do till then?
Well, I mean, your
Like,
options were either have 2 intermissions on Prong, which is what they did, or have 1 intermission and have it be at 3 minutes.
yeah.
I honestly don't like most of these bosses anyways. It's just like which one's I guess worse in my head.
I think Gnarl
Uh,
Root probably would have been 16 for me. Probably followed by
Probably.
Aerodog. Actually, no, I
Same.
think Aerodog would have been 16. But yeah.
all right.
All right, Phil, what is your 12?
Rashok.
higher.
I have
On
that
I think
higher.
we're probably all gonna have that higher.
Okay, Milo.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Dathia.
Hey yo,
You're fucking crazy.
Whoa.
Okay, hear me out.
I have
Oh,
it nowhere on my list.
Oh, thank
okay.
God. I was about to have an aneurysm.
All right, go ahead,
I
Milo. Defend yourself.
yes. I mean, it looks cool. You know, it's a nice platform, and I only did it on heroic, so I don't
Ha.
have any
Ha.
experience on
That
mythic.
explains a lot.
Yeah, which is why I asked beforehand if that was okay. And
No, that's
I think the heroic profile of the fight is pretty cool. Like you can either stay on the platform and like pump single target and try to kill the boss, which I did, and it was fun. I also went up and kill ads and kick, and I don't know. I like the whole not spreading AIDS, kill the boss, and manipulate where you get sent off. I like that, but still not a great fight. Just that it's you know,
Athia Heroic is okay-ish.
yeah.
I think it's
You know,
very frustrating with pugs, but it's okay.
I feel like I have some interesting takes just from the fact that I was on the beta, and I've somehow managed to get myself a really goated group. I really enjoyed Dathia on the beta just because we were doing like all the problem solving and stuff, and like she kind of still holds a warm place in my heart despite everything.
Yay.
I I I did Mythic one night and I wanted to like stop raiding if I had to proc that fight.
Oh shit. Well,
Like it's
I never tried.
That fight was
it's oh my
We don't
fucking
talk
uh,
god.
about that night.
so okay. Alex, you think it's bad with our guild? Our guild's worst player is like twice as good as like the third best player in the guild I was trying to do Mythic Nathia with. Imagine
Oh,
how fucked the debuffs were. It was
it was
awful. It
probably
was
AIDS
horrific.
City, and you don't
It
want to
was
be in AIDS
so
City.
bad.
I also think that I could be totally wrong here, but I felt like if you manage the movement well, you could definitely beat other classes that should beat you as a DPS because of their poor movement. So I like that. I like when a fight lets you do that.
You know what, Milo? I respect you, but
I think that's
uh,
psychotic. I don't know. I think okay.
I mean,
Let's
Aaron would have put it higher.
just move
that's
on.
true.
Just
Jesus.
move on.
Aaron would have put it like top 5.
Kaimaki, what is your 12?
Igira.
Oh,
I thought
God,
about
you
it.
guys are okay. Yeah, anyone have that higher?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Kaimaki. You're the only one with it on your
I
list.
think that is a better second boss than like it feels better that was than Narlut. Like I look once I kill Narlook, I'm like, oh fine, I can get to like normal raid bosses. And like Igira is a really good thing of like you have the three options of how did you manage the mechanics. You have the small burst of AOE so that people
That's
don't
true.
uh, do the things, and like it feels different each phases, and it's very impactful which weapon you choose, and that's cool. Like that is for a second boss that I think that is a very cool thing.
I just think it's boring as fuck to heal.
So my kind of a Gira take is it was actually kind of decent early on whenever like there was raid testing happening and it was the weapons were really hard and the mechanics that the weapons did were much more impactful and you had to deal with them in unique ways. But then they changed the fight in between raid testing and launch to where she just spams spears every like 5 fucking seconds. And the spear spam is just annoying. I don't like the spear mechanic. It's just stupid and it has pad that is completely invaluable and if you get it, it just feels bad and the positioning is dumb and then the weapons don't fucking do anything. Like to me it was just a nothing boss that was just obnoxious personally.
I mean, the thing is, to this day, I couldn't tell you what the third. I know you have the heal absorb one. I don't remember the difference between the other two.
It was one that
That's
she
how
jumps around,
unmemorable.
right?
Like
Heal
I
absorb
just
leap
don't care
soak.
enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
actually pretty sure that we actually changed the order to fit our group better
Yes.
when we
We
plugged in.
should
like he
change
does the
orders.
jump and he does the soak, right? I don't even know.
Like we didn't do the meta wave.
I
The other
I
way.
genuinely could not care less about his weapons. It's so meaningless. I don't know.
I,
Wow.
Okay, next boss.
How was it generating nothing? I'm triggered. Um. Okay. So my 11th is, and I know this one's going to be a little bit of a hot take. It's a Skarn.
I
Is
have it higher.
okay. Light. What is your 11th?
Kadara.
uh, punt.
Okay. Alec.
This is probably a hot take. Experiments.
Wow.
Does anyone have experiments higher? Okay. Go ahead, Alec.
I think this is a 2-target fight. Feels really nice on enhanced shaman take.
Based. You know what? You know what? Fair.
Based,
Fair.
based,
You
based.
know
Yeah,
what?
Like
like if
the thing
like that
is,
is valid for Destro too.
I
Mhm.
have like I've got that going. I I don't know. Okay, other than having to stand out for in Narnia with bombs, I I kind of like the movement of the fight. Like I don't know. It was it felt like I was kind of in the action a decent bit of it. Uh I don't know. I honestly it's hard. I haven't really given much thought as to why I like it. Felt it just felt good.
I mean, I think experiments just kind of was one of the symptoms of mechanic vomit that didn't really, it wasn't satisfying in any way. And the mechanics were more obnoxious to me than anything. Like the dispel mechanic was just annoying, but I get like 2-target cleave fight. But I don't know. I don't think that's nearly enough to keep it up there, especially with
I do
like
think.
Ryanthus's forced downtime.
I do think it is cool that there's like actual importance to damage prio on the fight. Like you're saving CDs and then you need to kill uh and then as soon as the boss comes down you lust and then you want to get him to 50 but you also want to kill the other one before he hits 50 and then you want to nuke the fuck out of him again to reduce the amount of debuffs you have. Like I think that's cool. Like as like a DPS check boss, but man, the mechanics suck. I don't know.
I knew this one was a hot take. And there are aspects of it that I don't like, but I
Yeah,
think the aspects of it. Hmm?
I do think that part of it's cool though. But yeah.
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 Next.
Why? I don't understand, man. How did Forgotten Experiments get 1? Okay. So Vel,
This is yes.
what do you have at 11?
This is also Kazara for me.
Oh shit. That's a point for me.
Okay, Milo.
My 11 is Sarkareth.
I have it
Higher.
higher.
Yeah,
I have it
higher.
higher.
Yeah, I assume so. I
Uh,
never did this on Mythic, but we'll talk about it.
okay. Kaimaki.
Magmorax.
Anyone have that higher?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew Light would.
Yeah.
Okay. My number
Healers, man.
10 boss is Aranog. Does anyone have that higher? Okay.
That's pretty high
Unlike
for a first boss.
Gnarlroot, I do think Aranog is a really, really good first boss. I think Aranog does everything right for a first boss, where there's no time where you're not doing damage. There's nothing that is a random mechanic that targets you, which makes you run out. There's no like degenerate ad pad other than the small boys that pop up, but they're excluded from logging anyways. And it has a mechanic that makes your butt clench just a little bit and just the right
I
amount for a first boss.
I do like the World in Flames. I
Yeah,
think it's actually
you mean
pretty
the
sick.
Army of Flames that
Or
yeah.
Army of Flame, yeah,
And I
yeah,
think the
yeah.
mythic mechanic was kind of cool where it comes from the inside and the outside at the same time.
I think like I mean even on our kill, our first kill in Vault this tier, like it was pretty
Yeah, it
fucking
makes your butt
close.
clench just a little bit. And that's like what you want from a first boss. It gives you a small butt clench. You're doing
And
damage
then
the entire time. There's no downtime. And logs actually matter. And I think those three things are found on Aranog, and Aranog is just the right amount of difficult where it's like you can't fall asleep, but you also you're not gonna pull the boss more than like 3 times. So I don't know, I think Aranog is close to a perfect first boss personally.
yeah, I can see it. As a healer, it's like guys, kill the ad, please hurry.
Also, it's voiced by the guy that does the English dub for Dio, so that actually kind
Hey,
of bumps
yo,
him up too.
Aerodog has some banger voice lines too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mule and soft
Light, what is your
scales
10?
following a whelp. What?
What is your 10?
10 is amalgamation.
I have it higher. Alec?
Which one's that one? Is that the three
uh,
boss?
Second boss of well, the shadow and flame elemental from
Oh, okay.
Avarice.
Teros.
I have it higher.
Higher.
I
Font.
have it higher.
Bell.
Skarn.
Nice.
They don't have Skarn higher. All right, go ahead, Vel. Take it away.
I mean, it's a passable boss. It's got some interesting movement. It's got some interesting healing, and I don't know. It's all right. We're getting into the all right territory.
I think Charn's fine. Like it probably would have been like 17 or 18 for me. It's just kind of so meh. I don't know. I don't really have any strong feelings for it at all.
Yeah. I do also have the recent experience of doing him with you guys and like feeling the satisfaction of kind of getting through a later mythic boss, which is still new to me, and I enjoy that.
So, I think Zaskarn actually, I was one of the ones that theory crafted really hard, like with the routing on Zaskarn, and that was really fun. I think the concepts behind Zaskarn were good. The problem with Zaskarn is the fact that the boss got reworked 12 times, which caused people to
Yeah.
have to perma extend, and it fully changed the strat every time. We realistically didn't have to deal with that, but I've heard all of my raid leader friends bitch about it all the time. The Skarm was like a really fast-paced fight that was positionally challenging, and I thought that like the strategy ideas behind it that you could try and adjust different things were kind of cool. It was just handled incorrectly tuning wise, and that's where the boss loses a lot of points. But I went ahead and gave it the benefit of the doubt whenever I was ranking it. Okay, I think I have this time.
Surely this one will work.
Let's go.
It didn't work. Oh, it's still just not pulling some of the info. Anyways, well, I'll keep working on that while you continuing. Milo, what's your 10?
Kazar.
Okay, go ahead, Milo. You can start. I'm apparently
I
the
think
outlier here.
this is my favorite first boss to me. I think it's I love the pure single target fights as the first boss, and I didn't like that in Aeronog you can kind of cheese with I don't know if it goes to logs, but I know it goes details, and you could cheese with the stupid ads that will pop out. But yeah, I think the mechanics are very wow. Like it's just if you take a new player to that boss, it resembles what like a normal WoW raid boss is. You know, there's things you have to drop in the floor away from the raid, and then like that what do you call it when it's synchronized? Not synchronized. I guess it interacts with the other mechanic. They have to pass by the soaking thing, the circles, and the fucking breath that is like iconic. Even though it's super easy to dodge and shit, but it's just like I think it's a great representation of what a WoW boss is. And I like that it's pure single target. And later in the expansion, you can just measure your dick size with that fight, pretty much. So I like that.
I think it's cool that Kazara is not mechanically free, but also not that mechanically complex that you like really need to like Superman max it or anything. You can just kind of game it, and I think that's fun. And I also
Yeah.
have always found it amusing that it has like a harder version of the fucking Broodkeeper staff mechanic.
Okay. That's true.
Like, am I
Fair.
like you know what I mean? Like it literally
Yeah.
like the Broodkeeper mechanic, but you get to place the eggs and you can't cross over each other. Like, which is so
Mm-hmm.
funny.
Hold on, let me. Got you.
That's all I got.
Figured you already were.
My 10 is Nimue.
Oh, hold on, I need to get my
On
my Kazara take. You guys
Oh,
are wrong. Kazara, okay, so Kazara has a few problems. I think theme, and I understand why people really like it, is because the theme is really cool. When you break Kazara down to a boss fight, it's really bad because of quite a few things. First of all, the healing is fine generally, but I don't think you guys actually know what the fuck the boss does. I'm not gonna lie. Because where the actual healing comes from is not where you think it comes from. The healing comes from two things: the knockback dot, and as the longer the beams are running around, the more raid damage pulses throughout the raid. So most of the
I
raid
knew that.
damage comes from the beams. And how it works is you get randomly fucking targeted by this. And if you are in melee, that means that you just lost like 30 seconds of uptime. What makes the first boss
Mhm.
bad is the difficulty being incorrect and not being able to hit the boss whenever you want to hit the boss. A first boss should let you hit the boss the entire time, or at least if you're not hitting the boss, no one's hitting the boss, right? But in this case, you're the only one that gets fucked. Fuck you. I have not had a single time on Kazara where I've ever been able to just sit there and hit the boss. And on top of that, every mechanic is just boring as fuck. And it's just like, I don't care. Like the placement of the puddles, I don't care. The fucking lines and the beams, I don't care. Like, I wish that it was actually a target dummy not doing anything to me and I could just hit the fucking boss more so than what it does. And whenever it was on launch, it was overtuned. Just simply put, like, it was on week one, usually first bosses fall over. Kazara
Oh
was
yeah, it
like
did not fall
25 to
over.
30 pulls for most guilds because of two things. The beams simply did way too much fucking damage, and the pulsing raid damage was simply just really fucking high. So it was just sitting there pounding your face into a boss that you just get forced downtime all the fucking time, and it was obnoxious. I don't know. I dislike Kazara.
But Hamill,
I
Max
think
put
those
it
are
at
very valid
9.
reasons, honestly.
I
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that it teaches new players that sometimes you won't be able to hit the boss.
I thought damage wasn't important.
All
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can agree. I can see your point.
right, Kaimaki, what's your 10?
Nimue.
I have it higher.
On
I
Wow,
also have it higher.
wow, you guys like Nimue.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a
Actually,
melee
I mean,
take.
honestly, it's more just I like the other bosses more.
wow.
Okay, my question is, where was your guys' cutoff where it started becoming difficult? Because mine was at 12.
Uh,
I would say my top 7
I'd say, yeah, 8 or 9,
from
maybe.
4 to 7 for me.
9.
It's tough.
Here's where it starts getting tough.
I don't understand. Like, this should work. Kamaki, do you see any flaws in this?
I wasn't paying attention.
Like, there are 2 other programmers in here. Does this look wrong to you in any way?
So what is it doing? It just
It's scanning each column, and
yeah.
then it's
So it
it's checking each row, and based on what row it's in, it's assigning a point value, which is what it does over here, or down here. But the problem is, like, it's just not. It's just straight up not detecting everything inside of these rows, even though they're right here. Like, this is the list it's pulling from right here, and you can see it, and it's just, for some reason, it's not working. I don't understand.
But why is it only L2?
Equals L2 because L2 is where it's pulling the name from.
Okay, so like if you go to Terrace, it'll be L3.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, unless it's just simply the fact that I need to do this, and then I need to, like, go through and select a boss on each individual one. Like, if I just select fucking Zaskarn, but knows now Zaskarn has 0 points, so it's not that. Like, it would work like this. I just don't understand how this formula is not actually parsing all of this data. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's pulling some things. Somehow it has amalgamation chamber, and somehow it has Magmorax, and the amalgamation chamber came from... Or I know the Forgotten Experiments came from Alec right here. This is where it pulled randomly. Which maybe that means the amalgamation chamber comes from here? But why is it missing all the other shit?
Maybe go back to it once it's all filled out. Might be easier.
Yeah, I don't know.
1 second, let me.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. We can kind of tell.
I don't know. It's annoying. I want it to work.
Let's keep going. It's 4 a.m.
Yeah, let's keep
Wait,
going.
what's with the extra L24?
I actually don't know what's with the extra L24.
What's with the L24?
Oh, it's because I'm clicking on things.
Ah.
That's so fucking dumb. I don't know. That should work.
Emil.
So my number 9 is Sarkareth.
Higher.
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 Okay. Light.
Stark.
Okay. Alec.
Nice.
This is where I put Nimue.
Sark. Okay. It's Nimue. I have it higher.
You fucking wish.
Vel.
Lardar.
You are crazy.
I
Sorry,
have
like,
Stockholm syndrome. I
yes,
understand.
I think I understand. I think I see the Stockholm syndrome now.
Because I also have hundreds of pulls on this
Milo,
fucking
you
boss.
have Larry higher.
Yes.
You're crazy, Milo. You're
Okay,
dumb.
Milo. What's your 9?
You're just wrong.
Rasagath.
I have it higher.
Higher.
Kaimaki.
Bulkrus.
Holy Christ. Okay, go ahead, Kaimaki. No one has that higher.
I think it's like a little better than a Kazara in terms of a single target fight, and I like fights that are inherently lead to like a big climax, like in the sense this feel like we're closely losing space. I don't think they pull off that feeling at like it's hard to pull off, but if you get it done, it feels really nice. And it's just a single target fight that you just pump.
It's the tuning was never good enough, and it's literally just heroic.
It's too fucking easy.
With a very simple mechanic added on, but I just don't think they knew what to do.
Yeah.
Do we even need to talk anymore about Volcross?
I don't. I mean, it's a target dummy. I don't think it does anything offensive. I think if it was tuned properly, maybe I could have it up there. It just needed to be harder.
It's almost just like disappointing. Like
it is, yeah, because it could have been a cool boss.
Like they could have added like some pretty cool ass shit on Mythic. Like you could have like multiple tentacles or whatever the fuck its tail hit down and have like like
Like I
continuous waves of lava to dodge or some shit, or
like
you could make it a pretty fun bullet hell boss with those tails and the lava waves if you really wanted to, but like they didn't go crazy.
but like I like that. I like that I can just turn my brain off and bomb like and
I
do
mean, that's
rotation.
fair. That's fair.
Oh.
Mhm.
Holy
Mhm.
shit.
Oh,
It's working. Okay, we got it
Yay.
now.
Will, you're 8.
Okay. So,
buddy.
my 8 is Smolderon.
Higher.
Higher.
Okay. Light.
8 is Raz.
I have it higher.
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 Alec.
I have Sarkarath.
Higher.
Vel.
higher. This is where you're gonna start seeing how much I simp for Vault. Diurna.
Oh. Broodkeeper.
Oh,
Oh.
What a twist.
Anyone have
What a twist.
that higher? Well, good news for you, Vel. You'll like Brood Twister in the new raid. Go ahead on your Broodkeeper take.
I mean, it was a great fight for me on Evoker. It had a great window for an Emerald Communion at the start. I got to feel like a god. I managed to get the boss side most of the time, so I just got to blast, and I had a great time with it.
I also have it on my list, so I just want to say that as someone that did the eggs pretty much every single week, I like that. I like that mechanic, even though I don't hit the boss. It is a lot of responsibility, and whenever you don't do it and someone fucks up, it actually feels really bad. So I was like, I like doing the mechanic.
Brood
And
just
and as a rogue, I tried to like min max my uptime, so that was fun for me. That's
So,
that's where I come from with that.
my opinion
Brood
of
for 8.
Brood is I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it. It's got a lot of problems where the damage is unintuitive when it comes out because the people in the ad group don't actually know when the third egg is going to be broken unless like you're just like, hey, third egg coming in 3, 2, 1, and that's just dumb. And that's like where all the damage comes from. The second phase of it is just repetitive and obnoxious, like move in, then out, then in,
Yeah,
root, in, then out, just on repeat. And it doesn't like the way you wipe on Broodkeeper is just frustrating. It's
Yep, I
usually
agree.
stupid stuff like, okay, someone didn't, they clicked the extra action button and the staff didn't move far enough, or the boss didn't decide to move because she started spam fucking casting due to some weird spell queuing things that she sometimes does. Uh, you had problems with the correct egg getting broken because someone was moving
yeah,
towards the egg and then they barely clipped because the circles on the ground are a little bit bigger than they appear. And you get stupid shit like that all the time where like the wipes are just obnoxious and they don't feel like you actually learn anything. It's just like, oh, well, that fucking sucks. And that's kind of how every single wipe on Broodkeeper feels. Like, even on the ad group, it's like, oh, okay, well, we just died to the tank not moving out of the trimmer. And it's just, I don't know, it's just unintuitive, and wiping feels really unsatisfying. And it doesn't, to me, Broodkeeper didn't feel like proccing, it felt like mapping and just people memorizing a map, kind of like Neltharion, but on a more intense level for the people doing the eggs. And that was just an unsatisfying experience.
I think it's sort of like Fire Act P3, where you just feel like you have zero agency over whether you wipe
Yeah.
if you're not doing that. Like you just have to wait for people to figure out.
yeah, I
At
can
least
see
Fire
that.
Act P3 is like intense and climactic, but like Broodkeeper is literally just you just don't do anything. You just pray to God that people who have actual responsibility
Yeah.
don't fuck up.
One other
See,
thing
this
that I
is
really like about this fight is that tanks were forced to actually play
be
defensive.
good.
I really like that because they get shit on.
Yeah, I think this is kind of where like the difference in my experience is really showing too. Because like for me, wipes were always unintuitive and random because it was people being very stupid. Like I was always with bad people. Um, so I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of wipes that weren't my fault, but I stuck with the guild because I enjoyed the social aspect. So it is what it is.
All right, Milo, what is your 8?
8 is Nimue.
I have it higher.
Okay.
Wow, hell really looks that way. Holy.
Okay, Maki.
No, 1 second. Let me.
Oh,
Get up,
Is
the
Nimue the
Kitty.
one
suspense.
that like started moving up your list?
No, that is
Eight.
not the one that started moving up my
There
list.
was.
I have it higher.
Punt.
I
I have
have
it
it higher.
higher.
Or, I don't know why the
No,
fuck I just put him
terrible.
away. Okay.
Yo, Kai, just take a screenshot of your list and go like that, bro.
My number 7 is Amalgamation Chamber.
Damn.
No one else have it higher?
Interesting take.
Nope.
Okay, so this is definitely raid leader take. Amalgamation Chamber is just really interesting as a second boss. It's
Yeah.
the mechanics are intuitive and I like them, and I think they're easy, but they're execution based where it's like, okay, it's not pass fail, but if someone fucks up, you're probably gonna die, but die by yourself. And that's I think that's always good for early bosses. I think the mechanics are unique where you have like thundering coming back basically for the mythic mechanic, and how like both sides have basically opposite mechanics where it's like a soak on one side and it's a range mechanic on the other side. It's fucking tornadoes that go out on one side, it's orbs that come in on the other, it's meteor soaks on one side, it's bombs on the other side. Like they have dueling mechanics and then they combine. I think the fight looks sick, but the biggest thing is there are so many different ways you can tackle the amalgamation chamber, and they're all good, which is so different for a second boss. This is like where Agara failed, but Amalgamation Chamber fucking flew. Is you can, even to this day, like if you go to the raid leader Discord, it's still debated what the best way to handle Amalgamation Chamber is. There are like 6 or 7 different strategies that you can use for this boss. And on Prog, like we adjusted based on what our group was good at. Like you could have the buddy system. You could have everyone stack up and meet on a marker. You could YOLO it. You could burn one side. You could have tanks swap in the middle so that nobody else had to swap, and then you just clear whenever. Like there were so many ways you could handle it based on your group, and I just thought that was really cool for a second boss. I thought the whole idea of having the dueling mechanics on either side was really cool for a second boss, and I think honestly, Amalgamation Chamber might be the best second boss of all time. I think it's way up there, and conceptually, it was really, really well done.
Based.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Amalgamation for me isn't higher just because I thought the other bosses were like more interesting, but like yeah,
Yeah.
Amalgamation's good. It's not it is 100% a good boss.
I'm glad no one disagrees. I'm just apparently a hot take. You guys are going to get some hot takes once we get up here, but
Oh, I've got
um,
one cooking.
all right,
Oh,
Light.
I've got a few.
What's your 7?
Mag
I'm waiting for GD to punch me in the face.
Magmarax.
Does anyone have Mag higher?
Nar.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Light.
I got no pump. That is that the entire explanation.
Big number.
It's the brain dead healing gober boss, and it was just fun.
So me
Better
and
number, better
Kaimaki have it
person.
11 and 12. I'll say for me, Magmorax again had some cool strat ideas that you could do with it, but generally it was kind of solved. Yes, we way overpulled this boss in our actual prog, but it actually, like, upon doing it multiple times, it's kind of inoffensive, but kind of fun. Like, I don't know. it's simple and it's just like you just do it, and it's a fun target dummy that like actually makes you think on occasion and move around on occasion. And it's one of those rare fights where it feels like a patchwork fight where you can basically fully focus on your rotation. And you do have to at some points be scared, and you have to do like some cool positional things, and I just find that kind of interesting. I mean, I don't think it's a great boss by any means, but I think it's pretty much middle of the pack.
Yeah, I think objectively design wise, it would be like probably towards the 15 mark, but just because it's fun to just pump.
Yeah, if I was
Like
a
it feels like
healer
one
of
of
this
those
fight, I would
bosses where
put
you
it
can
there.
actually just blast
Mm-hmm.
as a healer.
I wish I could have experienced that. I only ever did heroic, and it was very disappointing there.
Kaimaki, do you
I
want
mean,
to say anything
even
on
on
Mega Max?
heroic, it's not bad.
Yes, I only did heroic, and it was a fun target dummy.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
being there and
Alec,
blasting.
what is your 7?
Okay.
Razageth the Storm Eater.
I have it
Higher.
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 Damn.
Question: have any of you done Razageth on Mythic?
No.
No, not yet.
No.
Okay, I have done Razageth Mythic, so we have slightly differing takes. But
I'm also only going to experience it on Awaken, so that also kind of.
yeah, you'll experience
I
the
think it's
neutered
gonna.
version of Razageth.
Yeah.
All right, Vel,
What's
what's your 7?
Sarkareth.
Higher.
Milo, what's your 7?
Holy. Oh shit. Farak.
I
Higher.
have it higher.
higher?
Higher.
Fuck you, man.
Higher.
Kaimaki?
Kurok.
Higher.
Higher.
Let's go, Light.
Oh.
Yes.
Higher.
Yeah, but they're healers. You're not a healer, motherfucker.
We'll get to it.
That's a healer take.
We'll get to it.
It is a healer take.
Yes, it is.
Okay, my 6 is Taros.
Higher.
Higher.
Okay, Light,
Krog.
Higher.
Higher.
Alec.
The Tindrizzy.
I have it higher.
Fuck
Higher.
you.
Higher.
Vel?
Tindril.
Yeah.
Higher.
Based.
I don't
I'm
know
glad
you,
that's
but
not
screw you.
controversial. I was starting to worry.
Kurog.
Jesus Christ, guys.
Higher.
Higher.
Kai?
What number is this?
6.
Rashok.
I have it higher.
Higher.
Fuck you. Higher.
Higher.
Okay, well, that was quick. My 5 is Farak.
Higher.
Hey, Light.
5 is Taros.
Higher.
Alec.
Rashok.
I have it higher. Vel.
Rock.
Higher.
Oh my.
Oh
That-
man.
Let's go.
Oh,
Farok.
Farak. I
Oh.
thought you
Dark
said
horse.
Kurog.
Oh.
Sorry, I
Oh.
was
Kurok,
yawning.
I have it higher.
Dude, there's no way Alec has Rashok below Kurog.
Shut up. I'm gonna get to it.
Oh shit.
That's actually just
It's
blowing my
because
mind.
he's a fucking shaman.
I've
Oh
lost
my
respect
God,
for you as a
it's-
human being.
It's a fucking
That's
cow
okay.
shaman.
You didn't have it to
What is
begin
it?
with.
Is it 5 or
It's
4?
a cow shaman
It's 5,
with the
Milo.
elements. That's what it
Okay.
is.
Kai. Laradar.
Oh, you are
No
dumb.
way, man. You
You're
did this with
dumb. There's
us.
no way.
You did this
Yeah,
with
bro.
us.
I actually think the design of this boss is pretty cool to me. It's not something that you see every day that you have to like clean up the room with a mechanic. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that you have to not only clean up the room, but you have to dig up this hidden ad, and then you have to burst it down, and then healers have to heal it. So it's all like interconnected, and I actually like that. The only really thing that I hate about this boss is the charge and how like you kind of stop DPSing if you're melee there for a sec, which actually sucks. But I do like that like there's a lot of different class profiles or spec profiles that can help with the ads without losing too much single target. Um I like the burn phase a lot. Like you have two CC ads and like soak and then the heal absorb. I think it's the best example of a we're running out of space and it's either now or never. Maybe not the best, but I think it's a great example of that. It's just that our wipes were fucking terrible.
They were.
That's why I think we all kind of were
So
over it. But the design of the fight, I like it a lot.
I sort of agree with you. I think P2 is really cool. Like P2 is like you're getting overrun by everything and it's like a race against time and like trying to keep them out as long as you can and kind of panic inducing almost with like the soaks and the NATOs.
It is very
I
panic inducing.
I think P2 is cool. I think P1 just blows. And the reason why it blows is again like melee uptime sucks. The flamethrower
the fire
is just
drop mechanic is
the fire drop
obnoxious.
mechanic is really weird and ass. I wish fire would have dropped in a different way rather than that. That's just annoying. And
It's so poorly telegraphed.
it's so
poorly
hard to tell
telegraphed.
what's actually fucking happening, and you take so many extra damage ticks from the fire
I
drops.
still don't understand what's happening.
Echo Raiders don't. That's actually something they talked about in their podcast. They're like, we have no fucking clue how that mechanic works. Like,
Yeah, it just like I just kind of like move, like shimmy a little bit, and it just kind of works
sometimes
out.
it
I'm like,
drops,
okay,
sometimes
I
it
guess it was
doesn't.
okay.
Supposedly it drops more if you're further away and less if you're closer. I don't know. And then
I
the
don't know.
flamethrower
It's
mechanic
fucking
was just
weird.
inconsistent. Like some people could accidentally run on it, and you could have like you could be blowing the flamethrower directly on the seed, or I mean the roots, and it wouldn't like turn it into the bramble for some reason. And
That shit was
also
ass.
like
As someone who did it.
yeah. And also, like, the problem with it is that the fucking flamethrower is just like I had to do it as melee on every single mythic Laradar kill that we've done because some retard didn't run and go do his job. Like,
That's not the fight's fault, right?
like that's just to me, it's always been a frustrating fight. I think some of the mechanics of P1 are unintuitive. I do think it's the best designed healer boss they've ever made. If we had killed Laradar whenever on like that 13th pool we ever did of it, whenever we got it to 0.01%, I think probably a lot of us would look back on it more fondly. But the fact that we pulled it like 30 times after that was just fucking brutal. And it was always wiping to stuff that felt completely out of your control. Granted, as leadership, it kind of usually as leadership, I don't run into that problem a lot because I'm able to fix problems. But Larry was actually just people being stupid. And it's like, you know how to do this. We got to 0.01% just a bit ago and we wiped to a P2 mechanic. Like, it was so dumb and frustrating the way that we proc that boss, so I think that does stain it a little bit. But I do agree that the design is probably the best healer fight they've ever made, as far as like an actual healer fight where you're healing stuff up.
I think it's cool that it kind of feels like a team effort to get the shield. Like you have like I was trying to explain this to someone recently, like how Laradar works, and I'm like, well, trees spawn, and you gotta kill the trees, and then you gotta heal the trees, and then they charge the seed, and then you gotta click on the seed with, to spray the brambles that spawn. And then you gotta kill the brambles, and you gotta heal the brambles up, and then a barrier spawns that you hide in for the intermission. Like, wow, that sounds really complicated, but when you're actually doing it, it's really simple.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a team effort.
but yeah, it's kind of cool that like you have to like the DPS have to kill it, and then you have to heal it up.
Yeah,
I think
it's a
kind of
DPS
unique
check and an
mechanic.
HPS check in one mechanic, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's
I like when different roles can interplay like that.
And you have Tendril at 6? We'll talk about that one later. Kaimaki, what is your 5?
Rathagate.
I have it higher.
Hi.
Sure.
Now, these are heroic Razageth takes, which is why mine should be absurd to you guys, as mine is a mythic Raz take. But you guys will see that when we get there. My
You know what
4...
would be really funny?
What?
Is if somebody dropped Primal Council right now.
That would be funny.
Oh my lord!
No,
I
that
would
would
probably
be
just go to
worrisome.
sleep.
The fact that Council of Dreams is not at the bottom is fucking disgusting. Fuck you, Vel. Anyways, my 4 is Nimue.
Nice.
wow.
Is
I mean,
it-
I
it was
thought
a good
mine
fight,
was
but I am
high.
so I am
think
so.
you're highest.
Is this the boss you were talking about that kept moving up?
no, it's not.
Oh,
What the
The
fuck?
boss
I
that
think he
kept
said
moving
his
up
ended
is
up
my
in
number
3,
3.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The
my
only
number
reason
3.
why I didn't have it higher is because of all the green, but I really like this boss fight.
So, okay, here's the thing with Nimue. If you remember back to what we did the other night, where what specs I respect the most, Nimue is one of those fights that I respect a lot because it's really positionally and fundamentally challenging. Like, Nimue is one of the best examples of a boss that punishes people who are poor fundamentally with their positioning, their scripting, their consistency. If you are not consistent and you are not good at your scripting on Nimue, and how you position yourself and how you react to mechanics and how your vision is, then it's going to very quickly expose you either by getting hit by lines, losing a bunch of DPS uptime, not soaking whenever you're supposed to be, missing swirlies on the ground, and you complaining about things being hard to see because they're not hard to see. That's just a dumb take of your tunnel visioning on other stuff. And I think that on top of that, the intermission is actually interesting from a leadership perspective. Like, who do you send to the middle at what times? Who do you send to either sides? Balancing out the DPS in different ways and like orienting the middle ad around the DPS. But also, like, thought that went into it during our prog is okay, we want to have the weaker healer on the tankier DPS and earlier on in the fight to make life easier. We want to have the stronger healer on the weaker DPS, like your enhancement shamans and your priests and stuff like that. So I think strategically it brought what I like from it brought just the right amount of strategy for like a 6 boss, and that's not meant to be like an end of wing boss. It brought like a really fun bullet hell, especially in melee. Like, I think this fight is an absolute blast on melee, especially as you get late in whenever it starts spawning things like crazy. And it is really, really great from a leadership perspective and a recruiting perspective because Nimue is the single best boss to look at to evaluate DPS players because it is so good at punishing you for your mistakes. And that's why, like, I think if you look at our Nimue kill recently, I think that's almost in order of how good people are fundamentally at the game. Almost, as far as like the damage that they were doing, because that's just how the boss forces you to operate. The people who are able to pick that up quickly and just instantly adapt and they're just consistent at the beginning are the ones that trend towards the top. The people who aren't able to do that and pick things up slower and are fundamentally weaker trend towards the bottom. And I think that's awesome for a boss. And I love a boss like that to exist every tier. So it's just, to me, it's like a perfect middle of the raid boss with the right amount of everything. And it was fun as melee, which is a rare thing.
I think it's cool that it for as a healer, it kind of turns into a Mythic Plus environment for like a really short time, where you're suddenly healing like 5 people instead of 20. And I think that's like an interesting thing that you don't usually experience in Mythic.
It kind of forces you to use your movement abilities correctly, which I like a lot.
And you almost don't even have, like, I don't use movement abilities on Nimue at all, almost, unless I get like the bomb. Like, that's it.
Yeah, the bomb.
But other than that, it's like purely just raw positional skill. And like as warrior, I think that fight's such a fucking blast compared to warrior and enhance who have 5-yard range. It's such a blast to be able to like optimize your uptime while dodging everything and never getting hit. That's so fun to me. I don't know. I really value like bullet hell positional fundamentals and having to keep uptime. That's why I think next Princess Skyveza in the new raid is going to be one of the best bosses ever. It's very similar to Nimue, where optimizing uptime is really challenging. It's a bullet hell and it's a DPS check, and I think that combo is going to bang so fucking hard.
I'd put it at number 9 for very similar reasons. I'm gonna give it a compliment sandwich. Bullet hell, good. Needing to run out because you got unlucky, fuck you. You got the fucking bomb, fuck you. You need to run out, fuck you. Bad.
Yeah, that's
That
And
is
then
fair.
I do like the positioning aspect of it is good.
I
That's
got
it.
3 bombs on our first kill, man. I was pissed.
It's
Man.
Now, I'll say I hated the bombs a lot more as enhance. As warrior,
Yeah.
it's not bad at all because you just heroic leap and charge, and it's fine.
Yeah, as enhance, it's like, I mean, like, you don't really want to save Windrush for that. You want to use it for when you're going to the ad, so you just kind of like spirit walk and, you know, hope that you have an easy way back. Like, I don't know, it's
didn't
the
get it
only
on
part of the
Mythic.
fight. It's the only part of the fight that brought it down for me. It would be much higher if it didn't have that. But maybe if I was on something else, it would be better.
I didn't do it on melee on Mythic, but I did do it on heroic, and I think melee on that fight is so fucking easy. Like so fucking easy compared to
It is
range.
that is completely different in Mythic. It is a meme on heroic. That is true for melee. On
Yeah.
Mythic, I would say it's probably at least 3 or 4 times harder for melee than it is for ranged. Ranged is just like you need to not be autistic.
What? Oh no. Okay.
But to
I
be
think
fair,
that's
the range
crazy.
that I did that fight on Mythic was a mage. So, and mage.
That doesn't fucking count.
Yeah, mage is a complete
Like
meme.
literally, all you have to do is strafe left and right, and you don't have to worry about
Okay, Light, what is your 4?
optimizing your cast.
So you just hop over the
Tendril.
lines.
Tendril.
I
Indra, I have
guess.
it higher.
Same.
Alec. I'm not going to get into
Grog.
that whole Nimue thing because that would blow my mind. That's
Higher.
insane. You're insane.
Oh,
Vel, I get it, but like Karag over Rashok.
He gets it for the healer.
we'll get to it.
The healer take makes sense. Karag's fun to heal. But we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah,
it.
we'll
Don't worry.
get
Vel,
we'll get to it.
What you got it for?
Taros.
You don't have Taros higher. Below?
In my list. I'm pretty sure I have it at 4. Yeah, I have it at 4.
You
too.
also have it at 4.
Yeah.
Everyone has Taros on their list now, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Vel, go ahead and start us off with Taros.
Taros is just a very fun fight to heal. It's also terrifying. With the guild that I had, we were going deep into enrage and had no fucking cooldowns to assign by that point, so it was all just flying by the seat of our pants. But it was one of those have fun and blast because you're a healer fight, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a nice ABC pattern that I could kind of meditate to.
Yeah, the movement's satisfying. It's like it the first like dance fight that I ever got to do, and it was very fun to like move as a unit.
The baiting is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, I did do this on Mythic. It was a good fight on Mythic.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait,
I
did
think
you have hundreds of pulls on Broodkeeper heroic?
Did I say hundreds of bowls?
I think
No, that was
so.
council. That was
That
council.
was council. Yeah.
I thought you said you had a
dude,
lot of
I would
pulls
quit
on
the fucking
Broodkeeper.
game. I'm not gonna lie. Oh
I
my
mean, we
god.
had bad tanks on Broodkeeper, so that
No,
wasn't super fun.
Dude,
but-
if we wiped 100 times to fucking council, shit, if we wiped more than we did, I might have quit the game. Holy god, that was bad. I would have benched myself. I cannot believe you have council on your list. That is that is like fucking wretched.
It's literally my lowest. It's literally like it is dead last.
Yeah, same.
Wait,
for
so
me.
any other takes on Taros?
So Taros,
Yeah.
I think it's like I agree. It's very methodical and it feels good. It's a good dance boss. And the DPS check is cool. I wish that you died to the annihilation at the end. I think it's a little anticlimactic to just like, all right, everyone, move into the poo, and then you kill it in the poo. Like that's not very cool. I also think there's a couple visual clarity problems particularly with how the soak happens and the pillars. It's very easy to accidentally get hit by the pillars inside of them, but it's generally a fun dance patchwork boss, and I think it's like, again, for a second boss, extremely pleasing. I think it's one of the best second bosses I've ever made, right alongside Amalgamation Chamber, for a completely different reason. This one's more satisfying rather than design Gigabrain and strat Gigabrain. And I think it's the right amount of difficulty again. We came in and we killed this boss with 2 pugs like rotating in and out all the time, or more than 2 pugs. And it took us like fucking 12 pulls. The first time we got to the end, we just like walked into the poo and then it died. And it was pretty cool. It was fun. I think it's a great DPS check boss. And yeah, I don't know. There's nothing bad about Terras.
I like that as range. You had to also min max your movement a lot if you wanted to do really good damage. And I personally really like. I was playing Rogue back then, but my fellow Warlock buddies, most of them had to unspec out of demo because they just couldn't do the fight because you were a turret back then with Portal.
Yeah.
So it was really fun watching them try and play Affliction there. It was funny. So I like it.
Yeah, I think Terrace is actually like a good Magmor axe. Like I think it's simple, it's positional, and you're able to focus on your rotation most of the time because it's very like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And that's basically what Magmor axe is. It's just a worse version.
Yeah.
Hey, Kaimaki, what's your 4?
I think he fell asleep.
Kaimaki?
I was muted. Sorry. T-Swift.
Tendril? I have it higher.
Punt.
Jesus Christ, I can't spell. Okay, my number 3 is Razageth Mythic. No one has Razageth higher, right?
Raz is the one that moved up a lot for you?
Raz started at 13.
Oh.
I have Raz higher.
You have Raz higher? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Light, what is your 3?
Firac.
How you higher?
Okay. Alec, what is your
Okay,
3?
keep in mind, I only have experience with this on Kurog again. Kurog is 4-3-2-1. I only have done this on Awakened, but I thought Echo of Neltharion was actually a fucking banger.
Oh my god.
I've only done it on Awakened.
I forgot this was on your list. I think I think it's fair on Awakened. The boss is significantly improved on Awakened. Like it's probably 15 times better on Awakened.
Nobody has this, I'm assuming.
No.
No,
So,
I don't think it's on any of our. Oh wait, it's on Kai's
I
list
has
at
it,
the
yeah.
very bottom.
I thought the movement was really good. The making use of your space when you're in your little like fucking claustrophobic enclosed area, like bursting through the wall was cool. Like it's not all just like, oh, the mechanic was good. It's also just theme and like I guess it's not like super crazy spectacle, but I just thought it was cool. And then blah, 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 blah. I know it's a bit of a meme, but the whole like not killing your party members, I don't know. I find that kind of funny, and I like that that's a part of the fight. Yeah, no, honestly, it's just that it's that simple. I think a lot of it for me when it comes to what I like in some of my favorite bosses is just making use of space and like running around a lot. I've noticed I like running around a lot, but as long as the boss is like with you for it, I tend to like that. I don't know why. It appeases my monkey brain.
Alec, I can explain why we all hate this boss so much. Very simply, we spent more time every individual raid day progging the weak aura.
We call
twice
Ruz.
as much as we did the actual boss.
So, can you actually explain that to me? Like, why did you need it? Like, what did they change?
So
Because
the
I
hearts,
just don't know.
The hearts were so large that there was a unironic 1 pixel spot where you could stand, and all the other people had to memorize. There were 5 hearts too, so there were 5 of them, and they were way bigger. And all 5 of those people had to stand on the exact correct pixel, and the raid would have 1 safe spot in the entire space where they could stand, which was like the width of the boss's foot. And you had to have basically, you would get a heart, and you would press a macro, and then that macro would give you, or would put you on a list, and you would have to go down the list, top to bottom. It would have everyone in the raid on the list, and it would just show you on the side with a heart icon, and you would have to count go down the list from top to bottom and be like, okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm 3, and then you'd memorize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the spots for each heart set, which there were, by the way, there were 11 of them. So you had to memorize 55 spots, and you had to figure out your number every single time and stand on the exact pixel or rewipe because it insta-killed you.
And you had like what 3 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was 3 seconds. It was way faster than the hearts are
Dude.
now.
No, I
What
think
the
I think I think it. I want to say it's either 5 or 8. It's one of those numbers.
It definitely
that
is
sounds
not
awful.
8.
I was
It was
not.
it was fast, but it wasn't that fast. It was not 3 seconds. You wouldn't be able to make it. Like you would have to insta run to
Like,
those spots.
I had always heard about
It's
people
not.
talk.
It's not 3 seconds.
I had always heard about people talking
Dude,
shit
there are
about this
fucking
boss in
guides
season
for the
2.
fucking Neltharion weak aura prep.
Yeah, like Alec,
But no,
I
look at
swear
look
every
at this.
the amount of prog time we spent on.
So see
Yeah.
this, his list is under the thing, but it would show you would have
Yeah.
this, and you would have to figure out which one you were. Like you couldn't, it didn't like tell you. So you would hit your macro, right? This is tank POV.
You didn't have to hit a macro. The macro the other way. If you hit the macro to assign you a number,
Oh,
or
true.
you could have the list.
So you would have the list, and you would just count, and you would just be like, okay,
Mhm.
wait on the fucking hearts, and then you'd be like, boom, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm 4, and then you would go to your spot, and you would memorize each of these locations, and you'd have to stand exactly on it, and the raid would have to be exactly there, or else you would die. Like, look at how tight this is. Like, you had no space. And then they had to run back in, and a lot of times this would be a priest. It's a priest right now, and half the time they wouldn't be able to fucking make it because their name is Kazi, and they were trying to cast for some fucking reason over there. And then they were like immune set. It was just annoying, and I don't know. The boss is significantly improved now.
And we were
So-
cycling people in every raid day and had to set them up with a weak aura. So like literally like a half to a third of our raid every day was just setting up weak auras.
This also does not
Jesus
include the map
Christ.
weak aura, which
Oh yeah,
the map weak aura is
and
a
the
whole
portals
nother
were-
fucking ordeal. The portals were like way faster, and you had to have one in each, or else your tanks would die. And there was a map weak aura, and you had to. It was bad. It was really bad.
So like,
but the
go ahead.
boss is
But it was-
fine
it
on
was fun-
Awakened.
it was
It's
fun on
fine.
Awakened.
I agree. I think the
Yeah,
boss is
so-
fair enough on Awakened.
I think I mean I still think 3 might be high, even if you guys were rating it simply off of Awakened, it might be high. But for me, I thought that boss banged. But yeah, I don't have the PTSD that you guys have.
Oh yeah, it's PTSD. It's real.
All right, Vel, what's your 3?
Yeah, you know it. Yeah.
Let's go, Kurog,
All right,
baby.
Vel, go ahead with your Kurok take, Vel.
I'm a healer.
Fair
DB
enough.
healer.
All right, Alec.
Okay. Okay, light. Okay, it's not the only reason. That would be really fucking dumb.
Wait,
if the
was I
only
right? Was I right?
It would be dumb. It would be dumb if the only reason was, oh, it's also a Torn shaman. But I think the theme of shaman
would be
is a
very
part
dumb.
of it. The
It would
theme
be
of
very
shaman is a
dumb.
part of it. The fact
It
that he's a
would be
Torn,
very
whatever, I don't care. I loved this fight. I thought that I don't know, man. I just fucking love the visuals of
I think Kurog's
like
cool.
the
I think
elements
Kurog's
and
cool,
shit. And
yeah.
I thought the movement in this fight was also really nice. Like the fire, I don't know. It's simple,
Yeah.
but it's done decently well. I guess this one's also kind of like because you can choose the order, right? I mean, it's kind of a build a boss. I didn't really factor that
It's
in
not.
too much.
No.
I didn't
Not in
really.
Mythic, you don't really have the free
Yeah.
So
but
look,
And also ads.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I would completely excuse this as your hot take for the expansion, but you have it above Rashok, which is fucking psychotic. Now
I mean,
you
I
didn't
could-
do Rashok on Prague, right? Like you didn't,
No,
because
I
I
literally-
get that where like the DPS check didn't matter, so you weren't sitting there like killing him at enrage, and it was like dodging
Yeah.
1,000 fucking waves and getting one shot by the last slams and stuff, but. I think
Yeah,
that is
Rashok-
actually.
I mean, okay. To be
insane.
honest, if I did this if I did this on a different day, there's a chance that I swap them, and like like I said, for me, like eight to two, like, or three, like the top spots, it was difficult to order them, and it could have swapped like depending on the day.
Fair.
And that,
Okay.
I mean, the thing with Kurog is like it was a fun healing check, but it was also like continuous.
Yeah.
And so you had like this balance of like my mana is running low, I'm running up a hill, and I'm sweating and I'm panting. Oh god,
You're up
will I
the
make it?
hill.
I
It-
think
and
Karog and
yeah.
Magmorax are examples of great healer fights, like some of the best healer fights they've made, but awful fights for everyone else. But Alec disagrees, so not for everyone, but for most
why
people.
why do
No,
you think it's awful for DPS?
I also like it quite a bit.
Like,
To be fair,
I
I
don't think
played
it's
on a
awful for
6 fight.
DPS. I think it's just a complete failure of design. And
Because it isn't like an actual build a boss.
well, not only that, but like, how is the way that you wipe half the time, like, to this really degenerate bugging out the fucking boss with a tank movement that, like, moves it over the
Yeah.
line to where you skip? Like, one phase was so overtuned that you literally bugged out the boss so that you didn't deal with it. And you would wipe half the time to, like, bugging out the boss incorrectly, where
Oh,
we almost did twice. Like, we killed the boss really fast because Awakened XD, right? But
well,
we
yeah, I was
would
gonna
have.
say I didn't deal with that.
Yeah, I didn't
The
deal with
tank
that either.
the tank timing on
XD.
that is pretty tight. It is not easy.
Yeah, it's like half a second of timing window. And
I feel like
That's gross.
it's just, to me, that's dumb. And I don't know, all the mechanics to me as a DPS feel like literal nothing. Like all the mechanics in the intermission feel like they don't do anything. All the mechanics in the actual phases feel like they don't do anything. Like, I don't know, it feels like nothing's happening, yet you're just sitting there and you're dying, and then you do the degenerate, like, tank mechanic stuff, and then you have the annoying, like, oh, you drop your uptime because you got the earth bomb. Like, I don't know. To me, it's just, it felt like a nothing burger fight that was a healer fight, and it was a failure of design, kind of like Neltharion was an absolute failure of design, where like you have all these walls, and like you're supposed to break these walls and use them in ingenuitive ways so that you can deal with the heart mechanic and you can LOS the hearts and stuff. And then they remove the fact that you can LOS the hearts, and then they decide to put a giant ass fucking dot that one shots your whole fucking raid whenever you break a wall, so that you don't interact with the walls at all and you try and break as little as possible. Like, both of those are inherently massive failures of design to me, where like they had an idea and then they completely failed on delivering the idea, which to me just ruins a boss in general, because it's just like, man, this could have been so much better. But I think Kurog is just generally not good. Echo was fucking horrific until Awakened, and I think Awakened fixes a lot of Echo's problems, but still is a failure of design. It's just not nearly as offensive. I don't know.
Awakened influences my takes a lot, I think.
True.
But also
Which is
I'm
fine.
also a big theme guy. I'm a big theme. Look,
I
man,
get that.
I unapologetically fucking love Shaman. Shaman is just like, that is my
I had a fucking brain blast. I'm like, oh my god, that's why.
Okay, Milo.
I
Well, before I
What
go
is
to
your
3,
three?
I just want to say that I really like the theme for Kurog as well. Even though
yes.
I'm not a nature boy whatsoever, but I
Oh,
really
throw
like the
yeah,
theme and
Krog's
the
theme is pretty
room
sick, honestly.
and yeah, the
Nature.
elements. I like it.
I control
Um,
the elements.
I totally agree with what Max said in his podcast about this boss fight, or actually the group, that they kind of were going for a Lei Shan kind of thing, and they couldn't actually do it properly. So that sucks because that could have been amazing. Um, but yeah, I still like it quite a bit. When I get there, I actually smile and I'm like, yay, this boss, So I don't know.
It's a boss that I
3,
will always be happy walking up to.
my 3 is smaller on.
Higher.
I have it higher.
Higher.
Wow.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I'm not as worried about my top 3 now.
Wow. I felt like
Wow.
number 1 was blatantly obvious. I guess not. I have been shut down. Kaimaki?
Smaller one.
Ooh, what's up?
My number 2 is Tendril.
I
That's
had a feeling you had
Punt.
I thought he was gonna be your 3. Actually, I thought he's the one that went up the ranks for you.
No, I always knew Tindral would be up the top. I knew very clearly my number 1 and number 2.
Is that? I think that's the
Does
highest
anybody have
Tindral, right?
on one?
No.
All right, Light. Number 2.
Rorschach.
Wait, are you gonna talk about Tindral at all?
It's not. Milo has it higher.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Alec.
Neither did I.
This is where I have Smolder on.
I have it higher.
Vel, that's fucking crazy. Vel, okay.
Smolderon.
Based.
Wow, you guys
Hell
really love
yeah.
Smolderon.
Fuck yeah, that's a
Milo.
great boss. Oh, my number 2 is Rashak.
Kai.
Sarkareth.
Wow. That is definitely the
Damn.
highest anyone has Sarkareth.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaimaki,
What's
give your
wrong
Sark
with
take.
you?
So
I'm just saying.
I did the heroic version at this moment, and then the mythic
Oh,
one
yeah.
on Awakened. In both things, I felt really cool because there was a lot of positionally things, and each phase felt very different positionally. Because like normally each like fight has their own like theme around mechanics. But like Sarkareth phase 1 is very different from phase 2, which is the different. Well, no, like phase 3 is kind of the same, but what alleviates that is the fact that you have the down thing of like going into the like spirit realm or whatever. Like I felt that that was very cool of like min maxing of like when do I go for haste, go over the mechanics, to go drop the bomb. So like I think it was a very good fight. Like I really enjoy it.
I think P1 Sarkareth is really good. My problem with Sarkareth is in P2 and P3, melee are basically like wards. Like you don't do anything, you're hitting a target dummy. And it's very like P3 I think is actually a bad phase. I think P1 is good. I think P1's really good. I think P2 is okay. I think P3 is bad. And in original Sarkareth prog, like on Mythic, you were in P3 for 60 to 70% of the fight. Because there was like a timer that once it got to the timer, you just phased. Like it was just that was it. And I think that's really degenerate because one, staying in the last phase of a boss for that long just feels bad already. But also just the fact that P3 is just really lame. All of my problems with Sarkareth basically stem from the fact that P2 and P3 melee are just hitting a target dummy, and P3 is really lame and really bad and really boring and really annoying and really awful, and I fuck P3 Sark. In every conceivable way, it's just obnoxious. And it's also Sarkareth for me really, really, really completely misses on the epic factor. Like it has absolutely not. Like I do not give a single fuck whenever I step out a Sark. I'm like I don't care. I don't know. I think an end boss really should feel epic, and even a penultimate boss. I think that's a really important thing where it's like holy fuck, you know. And there's like something that makes you do that. And I guess they were trying to make the mirror break do it, but to me, it's just not very cool. It's more just, why am I being pushed? Like, fuck you. I don't want to be pushed. Like, I don't know. And then kind of the same applies with the mechanics don't feel epic. It's like, oh, go sack this. Like, that's lame. Like, nothing to me is just like, whoa. And the going down also completely misses in the way that, we'll talk about this later, Tendril's intermissions do not miss. Like the going down feels bad on Sarkareth versus the flying in Tendril does not feel bad. But we can get to that in a bit.
I only have heroic perspective, and I think it's super boring outside of phase 1. Super, super boring.
Fair.
I think.
I think
Yeah,
the theme was really cool.
phase 1 for melee is just bait correctly. It's just you just have to be sort of aware of where you're positioned. I do slightly prefer phase 2. Like once you go down, I don't know. I kind of like the collecting the little I don't even know what they are. Collecting those things, dropping the pool, coming back up. and
They're
then going into
fragments
P2.
of your mind.
What the? Oh God,
That's what they are.
those can fall out. Yeah, like that. I like I like that, and then I think P2. I like the movement of you know, baiting the baiting the not orbs, but like baiting the circles, and then infinite duress into baiting the ads. I like that little part of the fight. I haven't really done we haven't done P3 yet, but from what I've heard, it kind of goes back to being meh. So I think it's good so far, though. I like it. I can see why it would be high for someone, especially because P1 is very different for range.
All right, I guess it's number one time. So Kaimaki, what's your number one?
Farak.
All right,
You're
does
insane.
same?
Same.
No, I said you're
Oh,
insane.
you're insane. I was like, what?
Mine is not
No, hold on.
King
Tinder.
Drizzy.
Hold on.
Huh?
Anyone? So you have Farak at one. Anyone else
Yeah,
have Farak at
baby.
one? Okay, let's talk Farak then.
Okay.
Okay.
You can start,
The
Kaimaki.
like I'll say the theme carries phase 3
It does.
because because I think like phase 1 is fine and I'm basing. I think Firak Heroic is a really good, solid, like top of the line end bosses for Heroic. I
Razageth
think
is better, but sure.
I actually
I think
think
phase 1
Raza gets like I think you are right. They're both similar. The thing is, Firak wins in theme and like epicness and like the ambient.
See, I'm the
Like,
opposite there. I think Razageth is more epic and ambient and cooler, personally.
but like the thing is, like the fight actually revolves around these like crazy fucker that is trying to kill you. Like from the moment you pull, he jump like he lunges for you, and like the
I do think
visual
that's really cool.
effects,
Yeah.
the visual effects, like they get progressively more and more chaotic and more to the point of like at phase 3, even though mechanically it's very anticlimactic. Like if you uh suspend your disbelief, you can enjoy the moment of like, oh yeah, like I can see this being like a hectic end moment. The mechanics didn't deliver, but that's the thematic I think is carrying it, and Matt Mercer voicing that is cherry on top.
Yeah. I
That's
think
pretty good.
I think too, like for adding to the craziness, I just think that the baits in general, when those come out, also just look insane. I don't know. I fucking love P1 of this fight.
I think
I
P1 is very satisfying.
I agree with
Yeah.
the what I think most people do, where like it loses a little bit in P2.
Losing a lot of it in P2.
And also the intermission. The intermission, I mean, it's
I feel like the fight is like rather cohesive
yeah.
in
So
comparison to some fights.
I think for me, like the thing with and it's the same thing that I know Kaimaki has said about Tindril, and I agree with him on this. It's like, and I think people used to talk about this with, I think it was Anduin in Shadowlands. It's like you're doing your part in the fight, it's all going great, and then you just hear it over Discord one person say like, "Oh, whoops," and then it just fucking like it just one little thing just goes wrong, and then boom, everyone's insta dead. I hate that feeling, but I still love the fight, and I think P3. I don't know. There's something really cool about the idea of us like working together to protect the tree and like holding on to the seeds and like being separated and then coming together and the movement around it. I don't know. I think it's just I think it's really cool. I'm a big fan. Also first CE, so a
I
bit of a yeah.
I think it pretty like I think the tree and that like cool how it's incorporated into the fight. Like I like that in P1 it's all about like the space management and not burning the tree. Uh and then I like how in P2 you're like I like the idea of the ads healing the tree, even though I fucking hate that they exist. I still think it's cool, like that you have to like protect the spirits and like um escort them almost to keep the tree alive. Um, as Fire tries to kill it, I think it's pretty cool.
So
But
here's my Farak argument on why I think it shouldn't be that high. Basically, I agree P1's a good phase. I think P1's great. But I don't think anyone's disagreeing that the intermission is fucking awful and P2 is bad. And
I was gonna say that P2. I hated P2.
yeah, P2 is bad and the intermission is fucking terrible, especially whenever it was a private aura. And basically, to me, how can a boss possibly be that high when 50% of the fight is bad? And like, yes, P1 is really, really good. And I think I actually disagree with the P3 takes. I think P3 is actually really good.
Oh.
And
I think P3 of Fire is cool.
I understand the perspective, like in P3, that okay, you don't really do anything unless you're a seed. But the original design of P3 is that 16 people have seeds. The only reason why we didn't get to experience that version of P3 is because we simply got to it too late. And I think if we experienced that version of P3, it would have been even better. But I also still think like protecting the seeds and also again raid leader take, like the strategies around moving people around and the fact that I cooked and the strat that was used to kill Farak for basically from, the time where we got there for the last like month of Farak was my strat that I got to watch for forever. That was really cool. Like, I think that definitely brought up the thing a bit because I knew whenever I was cooking that, I was like, I fucking cooked. Because then it took your seed carriers from 8 to 3. And that was huge for guilds back in the day. What the fuck? That was huge for guilds because basically you're already late CE. You don't have 8 players you can trust to carry a seed, but bringing it down to 3, you can do that. Like that's doable. So I thought that was cool, and the amount of strategy you could do around raid positioning to make seed life easier and the things the seed could do. And I guarantee you, if you ask one of the seed carriers what they think about Farak, they will tell you it's one of their favorite fights ever. And if you were a seed carrier, you were like the hero. It was your thing. But if you're not, yeah, P3 is kind of boring.
Quizzy?
But well, Quizzy wasn't a real
thoughts
seed carrier.
as a seed carrier?
I barely did anything.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this might be because like I'm, like Ret Paladin Enhanced Shaman, so I kind of liked it. What is it that people don't like about P2? I understand not liking intermission because I'm right there with everyone. But what is it about P2 that people dislike?
I forget that it's
boring.
a boss.
Yeah.
I literally forget that it's a fucking
And
boss.
It
And I
feels like
think
you're
they
I'm
doing
never
doing
chores.
trash.
fucking gave the health bars to the ads to heal. Like you had to manually select those fuckers to heal them up, which was really fucking annoying as a healer.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Okay,
Like
Yeah.
I legitimately have like 5 keybinds that I only use on the any fight like Lairdar, Chromie, Seedling, and Fireack to externally heal stuff because I can't use fucking Voodoo for it like I do for all my other healing, which is
Yeah.
so fucking obnoxious. And I recognize that my UI, but it is so fucking annoying that I have to do that. Like I can't stand it.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
that and
I
the
cannot
combination.
relate to healer shit, fortunately.
It's not only the healer ads being terrible, but also the fact that you have to rescue one of them is like a designed thing of the fight is super stupid. But also like the face just feels like shit. I don't know. You hit the boss at really weird timings and like your boss damage really matters, but then you have like all these fucking chore ads that come up and you have to knock them into the middle and like the knocking is just weird and then it's AoE CCing and then it's like
And Fireack does like
kinda-
nothing. Like Fireack does like
when
nothing.
Fireack is
like,
down,
when
he
he's
does
actually
literally
on the-
nothing. He's a target.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I personally, for me, like I kind of like Okay, to be fair, I was never part of the knocking group, but like, I don't know. I find it kind of cool to see everyone coordinated all at the same time to like get it all together. The mass grip into, like, cap totem, thunder, like all the stuns, all the. I don't know. I kind of like it, and like the whole idea, the same thing as P3, sort of the idea of protecting the tree. I don't know. I I don't think P2 is like an amazing. I guess it's very very based off of the shit that I dealt with doing it, right? But and I mean, duh, it's my list and it's my opinion. But I didn't think P2 was bad. I thought it was one of the weaker phases, but I didn't think it was. For me it was pretty. I liked it. I love that fight.
I
As
also
a,
personally don't hate intermission as
as
much
a
as a lot of
side
people
note,
do.
I I knew this was gonna be Kai's #1 because even before the raid was released, he sent me a screenshot of the boss final room, and he was so excited for it. And I was like,
Bro, the animation looks
it
good.
looks I guess,
And I mean, who could
tree
forget that?
nature.
Who could
uh,
forget the cinematic? You know.
The cinematic
I
doesn't
can.
fucking touch it. No, no,
All
no,
right.
no.
I don't even remember what happened to the cinematic.
Nothing.
We don't talk about that cinematic.
Let's talk about Tendril then. Milo, Tendril is your #1.
Yes, sir.
All right, Milo, take it away.
I uh, I feel like yes, there are a lot of like one person fucks up and the raid dies.
That's like the entire, yeah, all the
However,
mechanics.
however, we we killed the version that was severely nerfed, and it still felt like we had to play to perfection most of the boss fight encounter, and it feels really really satisfying when you can defeat a boss like that. Even like I'm not saying that it was perfect, right? But it kind of felt that way when everyone is doing their job positioning wise, since it's such an intense back and forth all the time. There was space for this in this fight for like AOE specs and coordinating like your AOE and your single target and funnel and who goes where and who goes flying to pick up whatever the fuck the bombs. I feel like it's all part of like the strategy that you can cook, and to me that is huge. So like I love doing strategy. I really really fucking love that whole thing, and I feel like our group, I don't want to kiss ass, but our group definitely had really good strats for the entire raid. The entire raid, because usually I get involved with it, but honestly, I didn't even feel like I had to because everything was like awesome, and it kept changing, and we kept adapting, and I don't know. I feel like this boss is the definition of teamwork and coordination, and pretty cool. Also, it looks awesome.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with everything you said. I think strat-wise, the boss is really cool to put together. I think there are a lot of different things you could do depending on how your guild struggled with particular things. You could lust P1 to skip the last overlap. You could lust the shield on P2 to skip the last overlap. You could lust P3 if you didn't think that you had the execute damage to skip the last overlap. You could lust in between the shields in case you were struggling with a particular healing set. There was a healer lust, there were multiple DPS lusts, there were multiple boss damage lusts. So there was a lot of different things that you could actually do, which was cool. And it really feels like the raid has to work like a well-oiled machine, where every single mechanic that happens is involving multiple roles. Like the dispels involve healers in range, the roots involve melee, they involve the whole raid, they involve range, the seeds involve the whole raid having to move in, and how the different overlaps happen and how they decided to combine everything really works. And they were able to make a 3-phase fight where it is super fast paced, where literally like you had it seems like the boss has bloodlust. Like it's fucking crazy. And you're
Yeah.
sitting there and he's casting every global, but then they give you the dragon riding in the middle as like the perfect, absolutely perfect just break where you can chill out, you can laugh with your friends for like 15 seconds. It lasts just the right amount of time. Your brain is just the right amount of active and grabbing like the orbs and everything. And then it's straight back into zone in. And I think that is an awesome thing to have during a boss where like you can joke around with people. And I think Tendril is by far the best example of that. And the reason why they were able to make the boss so brutally fucking hard for the rest of it. And like knowing that the like Tendril, someone's doing something all the fucking time on the original version. By the time we got to it in Prague, it wasn't quite like that because not all melee did anything. Used to, you had to have every single melee assigned to a flare bomb, so every melee had something to do. In the newer version, it's obviously dropped a little bit. I think this would be everyone's #1 boss if we were a better guild. And like if you ask Liquid and Echo, this is in their opinion like the best boss ever fucking made, or close to at least. Not quite the best, but very close. And like the boss is just absolutely fantastic. And the definition, I think Tendril is the literal definition of what it means to be a mythic boss.
Yeah. Even CE for me, I think it's harder than Farak.
I
It's
didn't
also a
really
good healer fight.
experience this
Like
boss
unironically.
past. Yeah, true. I didn't really
Like it
experience this boss
fucking
past phase
hurt.
1
It hurt
in-
so fucking much. Oh, sorry, you can go first. Sorry.
You're good. I was just gonna say I never really experienced this fight past phase 1 in Mythic, but like my understanding of the reputation was that this is the horrible guild killer. So it's interesting to hear such rosy opinions of him.
Well-
I enjoyed him yesterday, but like
I mean,
it was kind of a surprise.
like, yeah, the boss killed guilds, but we're built different. So like I will not let this guild die no matter what. Like I will keep people here and this guild will keep going. But a lot of guilds would have died to this. But we just don't. We're built different. I mean, this is fucking crazy, by the way. This is 1,200 pulls over the course of 2 bosses. That's fucking like absolutely insane. But no, yeah, this guild is built diff.
All right.
But I really liked Tendril in a healer fight because it felt like after an entire tier of worrying about every single fucking drop on my mana bar, the flight time during the intermissions just gave you so much time to regen mana that it
Yeah.
was never an issue, and you just got the fucking blast the entire fight. It just hurt.
Which is
like,
sick.
Yeah, like up until the first 30 seconds, there isn't that much happening, like through the first root set. But as soon as the 50-second root hit, the entire rest of the fight, like people are on the edge of dying constantly, and it's so fun. And there's tough
Also,
mechanics happening, unlike
yeah.
some other fights.
Also, the utility that a lot of classes bring, like the being able to remove your own roots or like immune them, and also like props to you guys for actually setting up all the utility shit. Because I just kept this every single pull. They would change something like, okay, Kai, can you do freedom on the 3rd set of the 4th? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I would
They'd be
be
like,
just
I
fucking
Yeah,
was
no,
the same.
that is
lost.
true.
My reaction was the same, bro. No, don't worry.
Yeah, it was yeah, Kaimaki was like, please stop, please.
yeah, it's
You know,
especially when it's
I
like,
had
okay,
a
Kai,
different
you're
thing.
dispelling 1 and 4
just
on this
can't
set.
I
but
think-
Devin-
Yeah, I think there's no way that you can't have a boss that is an absolute banger to where every single time in between all 616 of these pools, we change something. Like, that fucking
that's a bit
bangs.
much, but
Yeah, not
but
quite,
yeah, I
but
mean,
like
we kept-
every
we
time,
kept
and it was
adding
tiny stuff that was required. It was like, okay, Kaimaki, here you're dispelling 1/4, then here you're dispelling 3 on Nev, and then you freedom Nev after 5 seconds of the
Yep.
dispel going off, and then it's like, that's not just Kai,
Poor
that's
Kai
like
just had a
12
lot to
people.
do.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are they talking?
Like, I wonder, like,
See,
dude,
yeah,
our
like, I was
original
sitting
Tendril
here-
note, hold on, Let's see. 10.2 healing. Dude, our tendril note was so fucking crazy.
It's on the left.
It is on the left, isn't it?
It's far
Okay.
left, yeah. I saw it.
Dude, like we had to add. Look, here is a Hunter's Master's Call, Xenon's Master's Call, Top Dam's Blind, Kaimaki's Freedom is sitting here. We have a Tiger's Lust assigned. Like we have every single external assigned. Everything was
Rescue.
assigned. The sacks, the like Dispel 4, Freedom Nev, Blind, Master's Call, like all of this shit. Freedom number 2, immunities, like everything had to be assigned. Like it's fucking wild.
That's cool.
Like literally everything. So we were adjusting all of that, like pull over pull over pull, and that's sick. So yeah, tendril bangs.
Roar a lot. Holy.
Swift gave me headaches.
Okay, so Vel,
I
let's move on. Vel, your number one's Raz, right?
Yes.
All right, go ahead this is a Raz heroic take, so go ahead and give your Raz heroic take.
Yeah, it is a heroic take, but this was back when I was really, really bad.
Still are.
Well, not really, really, really bad. That was like Shadowlands, but
yeah, nothing's changed.
Getting try like 5 parses, okay? But no, getting to Razageth, it was very exciting the first time we got to her because it was the most complex boss that I had encountered by that time. And learning about her, like opening up the dungeon journal was like opening up a tome of secrets and intrigue, and I was just enthralled by her fucking dungeon journal and the videos on her. The healing was really, really satisfying for me on the Evoker.
yeah, Raz healing's fun.
She had a perfect Emerald Communion ramp and really satisfying stasis timings. I got to be like a hero flying across the platform with my dream flight. I had a great fucking time healing her.
Raz is another fight where it's super fucking long, but you feel like you have so much mana somehow.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
The intermission definitely helps that. I loved her hammed up fucking lines too. Like her voice acting, where she's just ruin.
And I liked progging her on Christmas, where she got the fucking Santa hat and everything. That was cool.
And the little candy cane. I loved her.
So Razageth. Okay, I feel I need to defend my take because this is a Raz mythic take, and most people call Raz the worst mythic boss of all time. So Raz Heroic, I completely agree. I think Raz Heroic might be the best heroic boss ever made. And I don't think that's very controversial. I think a lot of people agree. Like, Raz Heroic fucking slaps. Like, that is a perfect heroic in boss. Absolutely perfect. But, okay, Raz Mythic. I did this boss, Raz Mythic, with Consequence. And I did it for fun. I definitely did an account share. Don't ban me, Kaimaki. And okay. I value positioning really high. Like, I love fights that are super positionally challenging and require you to keep your uptime, like Nimue, what we talked about. And Razageth is the very definition of a positioning fight. Whenever we do Mythic Raz, hopefully this week, you will see how positionally challenging the fight, even in its neutered, nerfed form, still is. You have to be extremely precise with where you're standing for all of the sparks, all of the Tempest Wings, everything like that, or else you're going to fuck the raid. And with that in mind, I think that like the fight is beautiful, other than simply the intermissions were butchered. And like the intermissions in Heroic are fine and they feel kind of like a break, right? On Mythic, it's the opposite. The intermissions are the hardest part of the fight, which is fucking stupid. Like that's just dumb. The DPS check is really hard. The bombs are really hard. The kicks are really hard. You have to bait the breath properly at really weird timings. Intermission in P2 is really hard. Like, it's just unnecessary. If Mythic had deleted the second intermission, then the fight would be really, 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 really good. And if P3 wouldn't have been nerfed so hard, then the fight would also be fucking incredible. But, like, I just think that the fight maintains a lot of its character in Mythic, and I really like the positional challenges they add with the new ideas. And I think we're going to have a blast proccing it because I think this is the boss that actually is most improved by Awakened. Because no longer is the wins absolutely bullshit. No longer is the intermissions absolutely bullshit. Now it's just kind of like, okay, we get to go in. It's really positionally challenging. It's really fun to learn, and we're going to fucking blast. And I think people will actually, after we do Mythic Raz, really, really like the fight. And I think Mythic Raz will save Vault of the Incarnates for most people by the time that we finish it. I think people will look on Vault much more fondly purely because Razageth exists. But no, I do think that Heroic Raz is the best boss of all time for Heroic. Not the best boss of all time overall, but just for Heroic.
And I think between her and Farok, I think she captures the idea of fighting a massive, terrifying dragon so much better.
I agree. I think it is a much cooler theme, and I think the boss room, unironically, is 100 times better than Farok's. Apparently, Kaimaki disagrees. But dude, you fly into that shit, and it's so massive, and like you see the 3 incarnates imprisoned above you, and you like are bouncing between the platforms. And you know the Tendril thing we talked about, where like Tendril was really successful in having the moment where you can joke around and chill out. Razageth does the same thing with the Nox, just to a smaller degree, and they feel fine. I think there's a little bit not enough going on. Like technically you have to dodge a swirly, but like there should be a little bit more happening there, and a little bit that way, like, you know, you're still engaged. You do kind of just AFK brain and like chat for a minute. But I do think that Raz actually kind of succeeds in that as well, where Sarkareth again fails. Sarkareth doesn't feel like it gives you a break, and the break feels dumb. Versus Razageth does feel like it gives you a break. Still not nearly as successful as T-Swift, but you know.
I think it was a little too long for me.
Razageth as a whole, or the break?
Yeah.
I agree. I think the second intermission should have never existed.
Yeah, she could have done with less intermission, for sure. But I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed her as well, because I was starting to worry I had a really hot take.
Wait, how do you not think it's Primal Council?
All right, Light, give us your smolder on take.
I just think okay, so like the intermissions you just get kind of blast, right? You just get like the healing amp. It's fun. I think it's kind of fun because the very start of the intermission is like the most danger, but you also have to collect the orbs. But it's not like something you have to dodge. Like, you have to worry about the circles on the ground, but it's like it feels very different. Like collecting stuff rather than dodging stuff, and trying to really pump healing while doing that. And I feel like it's really satisfying, like seeing what you can get away with, like barely snatching an orb and getting out of a ring in time is pretty fun. And then all the soaks, it's pretty fun to set up like burst healing for each of those. And get prep. You just have to prep for them. So that's just satisfying, like, as a healer. And I think it was the fight that made me like appreciate like when I can stop like tunneling and actually have to focus on my movement, and when I like should tunnel. And honestly, just dodging with tornadoes is just fun. Like it just feels good when you see 7 of them and you can dodge all of them. It's just a really, really good feeling. And Rashok is kind of the same. The waves are easier, and that like they're pretty interchangeable for me, honestly. Like they're very close. I just personally think the tornado just being harder, get puts higher for me, and that's basically it.
So, okay, I'm again the outlier here for Smolderon. All of you have it 1, 2, 3, and I have it 8.
Yeah.
Smolderon, I don't get how you guys love it that much. I think it's a good fight, don't get me wrong, but it is so repetitive and slow. Like, it is literally nothing changes ever. It is soak, NATO,
True.
intermission. Soak, NATO, intermission. Soak, NATO, intermission. Boss dead. And it's like, to me, that just gets so boring. And the way that you dodge here feels less skillful than something like Rashok. Like, you can't be as precise with your movement. You can't be as, and because most of the time, it's not necessarily like you dying to, okay, I didn't matrix dodge well enough. It's most of the time you dying to, okay, 4 people were just standing in the wrong fucking spot. And like, why would I ever look for a tornado coming over there, Rena? And it like, it's more frustrating to get hit there because you're sitting there and it's like, I don't fucking, like, that shouldn't have ever happened. Versus a fight like Rashok is way more, okay, I'm matrix dodging and I'm like pre-planning my positioning and trying to be optimal with it. I don't know. Smolderon to me was just, and we'll talk about this in a second, but I think Smolderon is worse in literally every quantifiable way than Rashok. And I think it's way too repetitive and like the mechanics just come out too slow. There's too much time where there's nothing fucking happening and you're just sitting there with your cock in your hand. So, and I'm not a sucker for damage amps. I guess people like damage amps. I think they're lame. Especially when they're at really shit timings. And Smolderon is at really, really shit timings, by the way.
Yeah, Smolderon timings are bad.
They're really bad. Like, you have to
They're good
hold
for
random
healers.
spots as
Yeah, I
DPS
like the
all the
healing
time.
one.
So, I don't know. I do not like Smolderon that much. I think it's a good boss. I just think it's too repetitive and it gets boring and it's too slow.
Yeah.
And there's no strats, by the way, for Rashok. Or, I mean, there's no strats, by the way, for Smolderon. Like, it's literally just you do this. Like, that's it, period. Done. Like, I don't know. That's lame.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very interchangeable for me. Personally. Like,
Yeah, you're wrong, but it's okay.
That's fair.
What I like about Smolderon a lot as a warlock, I guess, is that once I learned how to move, or like how to min max my movement with like my demonic circle and shit, I could like I feel like I made that fight my bitch because like I knew exactly where to move, when to port and shit like that. When to like try to heal myself a little bit so I could like detonate my healing absorb a little bit faster. I don't know. I just felt like if you pre-plan your movement well, it showed, and I think I like that.
I feel like the range positioning on Smolderon is way more difficult than it is on Rorschach. Like on Rorschach, you just kind of chill near the conduit the
Yeah.
entire time, and you just dodge waves as they're coming in. And it's honestly pretty boring for the first like half of the fight. Like it's not like there's just not that many waves, and the only time you divert from that is for the frontal and for the Armageddon soaks. I don't know. It's kind of like I feel like Smolderon punishes you for bad positioning way more, and it also like Smolderon's a lot more like uh you're kind of YOLOing it. Like it's not always the same. Whereas Rorschach, like the only difference is like where the waves are going exactly.
I think
But
it's
they're
the
close.
opposite. I think that Smolderon is always the same. Like, it's every single time the fight is the same. It's super fucking repetitive. Versus Rashok is really dynamic. But I guess let's talk about it, because my number one by a fucking country mile is Rashok.
Grog.
Like, like for me,
Why is it more? How is it more dynamic though? Because I
I'll
feel like
explain.
Rorschach is way more scripted than.
It's not. Like, okay, maybe this is a raid leader take, I guess. But because every raid leader I've ever talked to has Rashok as and T Swift as by miles the number 1 and 2, and Rashok is quite sizably the number 1. And here's the thing with Rashok versus Smolderon, because I guess those are the two most comparable. And here, like, where Smolderon fails in being really repetitive and feeling slow, Rashok succeeds. Where every single pull on Rashok is dynamic and different because of where the orbs spawn and the way you can manipulate the orb spawns, which changes the dodges and changes your positioning throughout the fight, and adapting to each individual orb spawn and moving the slams appropriately to try and make your dodges as easy, and making different decisions with where you pull the boss after intermission to be more aggressive or less aggressive, and adjusting your fucking tank positioning to literal like millimeters to bait orbs in different directions in the middle of pools is so fucking sick. Like, I get that all of that is things that you guys weren't even thinking about or interacting with because I did it, right? Like that's my job as the raid leader. But oh my god, is it so fun. Like you sit there and you guys probably don't understand how the orb spawning works or how the really intricate tank stuff that you can do on that fight is or how any of that works, but it is so well done. Like I think Rashok is truly, I think Tendrils like in the context of the entirety of my raiding career, I think Tendril is like a B or an A tier boss. Rashok is an easy S. Like the gap is massive between those two. And it's purely because Rashok, it had everything. It was a full on DPS check where we killed the boss in Prague in Rage, and it was like a fucking banger. The HPS check was really really close. You could not only could you dynamically decide the orbs and the tank positionings and being more risky versus more reward and like trying to make your dodges easier in the later stage or in the earlier stage so that people stay alive for longer, but you could also adjust the clears. So you could have each clear be at a different time based on how the raid was currently dodging, and you could do that dynamically. Like you could have like group 1, 2 clear whenever you would normally have 1, 2, 3 clear at this certain CD window because like we had 4 people who accidentally took orbs. I could clear individual people one by one whenever we took too many waves. I could clear like you could do all these different things with Rashok as a raid leader that it felt like I was literally controlling and I had so much control over the fight. And like, yeah, it got to a point where I had mastered it and I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting on people not to die to waves. But that's also sick because Rashok is one of the only bosses that fully succeeded and stayed there with a tuning goal of you kill this boss at enrage, period. Like that was the tuning, and it stayed that way the entire fucking tier until the very, very end. And like that is a massive success compared to like Smolderon, where it's like you're hitting the boss, oh, it's dead. And it's like it's just like what the fuck. Versus Rashok set all the way through to the end. And I think just the dynamic ways that you can adjust microly to spawn orbs differently, the way you could orient people with the slams and guide them to different locations, the way you could change the clears pool to pool based on dynamically what was happening with the raid HP and like who died and whose CDs were where, and the ways that you could adjust like the risk reward of placing the boss in different positions. It was so good. So good. And I get that, like, again, a lot of the things I just talked about are raid leader things where you guys just didn't interact with it. But holy fuck, does Rashok absolutely slaughter every other boss in this expansion? Like, not even remotely close for me. And Rashok is what I will remember Dragonflight by, and Rashok will stay as one of my favorite bosses of all time for a long time. Rashok fucking bangs, dude.
I have it number 2 for as a DPS. I really have never felt in this expansion more of a tech than on Rashok for sure. Like you had to squeeze every single ounce of DPS you could, and not only that, but I felt like maybe it was my group, but the healing check was insane as well. I had
It
to
was,
like
yeah, it
fucking
was
drain
insane.
life and shit a lot just to not die as a warlock. So that shit was crazy. I don't know. I really love that fight. Progging that fight made me feel like, holy shit, this is the adrenaline of mythic rating again.
Yeah, no,
I love it.
Rashok actually made me believe that maybe World of Warcraft isn't fucked. Like that's like how good Rashok was. Like all the other bosses in this tier never gave me a flashback to like old rating. Rashok does. Like the just man, I cannot overstate how dynamic that fight is from a raid leader perspective. Like all the things you can do are fucking crazy. and no other fight has that much control over it. No other fight gives you that opportunity. Sure, like he casts the same things at the same time, but because of how the mechanics interact with each other, it's completely dynamic based on what's happening in your current group and your group HP and like the different ways that you can place and what your group is good at, and you could adjust everything to change the difficulty of the fight. Like the difficulty curve could be really hard at the beginning, really easy at the end. It could be really hard in the middle, really easy at the beginning and the end. You could have it be like big spikes where you decided to push the boss towards one side to bounce the orb spawns off of the wall and off of the searing slam on the left so that it spawns near the conduit, because the conduit's going to break after the intermission, but that's going to make the frontal dodge even harder. You could change the frontal dodge by making it to where, okay, we want to make the wave dodges easier at the end, so we're going to make the frontal dodge harder now and push people forward into the frontal, make the frontal dodge hard because we have 2 B-reses left and we know we're going to drop people on this frontal dodge, and then we drag it into the middle right afterwards, B-res them in the middle of the intermission, tell them when they're safe, and then now we have an easier dodges at the end because we knew that we had the B-reses this time, versus you could make the frontal dodge easier and you could put it on the close
Sorry
orb. It's so
to
good.
interrupt, but it didn't sound like you were going to stop.
No,
I'm
dude,
going
I
to bed.
can talk about him to death.
Night.
Good
Good
night.
night, Kai.
That guy, damn. You know, I don't know how you guys don't have Rashok #1, but I respect your opinions. I guess maybe that's a
I
raid
mean,
leader
I'm not
take.
gonna
'Cause it's a
lie.
raid
I'm
leader
not gonna
thing.
lie. It did not feel that different based on exactly where the slams were. Like,
Well, that's because
I never.
you were thinking about it reactively rather than proactively. Like you dodge reactively rather than proactively, which just means that you don't care where the slams are. You're just gonna dodge the wave. Versus like I dodge proactively. Like I'm already, by the time the slam is placed, I know how I'm gonna dodge the next wave set. Like that's how I
wish
do it.
had that.
But why do you need to do that?
Because it's better. Like you can optimize
What
your
do you-
positioning and move way less.
But I what? You just
Like I can stand in a place before the waves even spawn where I know I'm not going to get hit, and then I don't have to move for the soak. Versus like if you dodge reactively, you have to like step out of the soak and then step back in, and you miss like a global or 2 of efficiency. Like that's why you would dodge proactively, and that's why I don't like Smolderon as much. Is because it's way harder to dodge proactively, and you have to sit there and dodge reactively every single time. Which sure is like okay, I'm matrixing, right? But then like there's not crazy fucking movement tech that you do on Smolderon. It's more just like okay, step, done. Like that. I don't know.
Is the score updated?
Yeah, it
I
is.
will say, I think that Rashok might have been higher for me back during Avarice, but like Avarice was just so fucking forgettable for me. Like I feel like I enjoyed him at the time, but I barely fucking remember him.
Shock
If
was the thing that made me remember Abras.
are the Rashok
if
waves
you,
like 0 RNG?
But I also didn't prog
Yes, they
Rashok
are.
on Mythic. So.
Oh yeah, that
if you
was
look at our
insane.
top 10, there's 5 Amirdrasil, 3 Vault, and 2 Aberrus.
I think that's
That's all.
quite
Makes
accurate.
sense.
Yeah, I think we've established that the last 3 of the Mirdrasil are kind of bangers, so that's cool.
Yeah, I
It's just
like.
that Avarice has a bunch of average bosses. Volt has absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Aside from those,
Agreed. Yeah.
except for
Oh man,
how is Senarth below Council of Dreams and Igara
So
and
disgusting.
Dathia
Yeah, that's disgusting.
and Experiments?
hey,
Yo, get fucked, Primal Council. You
All the
fucking
others
idiots.
all the others I can understand, but how those 4?
I'm sure if we all extended this list down to 26, that Council of Dreams would be at the bottom, and like Agara and
Yeah.
Dathia would also be at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Igara is so fucking boring. It's literally nothing happening.
Yeah, and which is
90%
a
of
shame
the
because it
fucking
was really
time.
cool in raid testing.
my
I
What's
remember
funny
that fight
is
being
my
fucking
guild
intense on PTR.
my guild still fucking struggled with her.
We
I
took like
fucking hate that boss.
6 pulls or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
walked
do
up
not
to
remember
it
that.
and we
took-
pulled it like twice, and I was like, guys, what the fuck are you doing? Play the goddamn game. Literally, and then we killed it. It was
So-
like,
Okay.
okay. That's actually what
So-
happened, because people were just fucking up the spear placements and killing people. I was like, guys, it's so fucking easy. It says left, right, or middle. Just fucking do it. stop being dumb, and then we just it just died. Like that was it.
We
Hey,
literally
gonna be
went
really
from
sad when you hear my full
actually went
account.
from 50 to 0. We survived the Heartstopper once, and the boss died.
Yep.
based on this thing that we just did, do you guys have any boss fights that you kind of like change your mind a little bit because of the discussion?
Oh,
Like
the
I feel,
discussion.
yeah, like I
Tindril.
feel like I definitely did.
Yeah, Tindril.
See, the thing
And
is, like, if I like, honestly, the top like 12 are bosses I really like. Even Lairdar. I think the top 13 are like boss fights I really
yeah,
like. And there's like definitely ranges, but like I could move all of them around like within like a
No,
couple
like
places probably.
I'd
for
also
me,
swap my Taros and Nimue.
for
It is
me, it's
interesting
like
how
fucking
subjective
this.
this stuff is.
Like,
It's like if I was a mythic raider all through all 3 tiers, I probably would do a lot of things differently.
me too. I didn't admit the great first raid at all.
So, Hamill, do you want to know how many fucking pulls I have on Agira before we killed her?
how many?
46.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's only like 4.7
That's a
times
lot.
what we had.
You know, this is the gap between my 1, 2, and 3. Like, and by the way, everything else is like right on top of each other. Like 4 would be right there. But I think it is like Rashok is clear in a way the best by like a massive margin, and then T Swift is by far better than any of the others, and then it's just like a monumental gap. Which again, I completely accept that a lot of this is raid leader take. Like,
you
and
guys are sleeping on Kurug.
Rashok is a great raid leader fight, and it's great for strategy, and it's great for like in the moment calling, and really lets me shine as a raid leader. Versus like Smolderon, I have zero control over that boss, literally none. And so like I get
Yeah.
that influences my takes some, but again, that's because Rashok completely dynamic, Smolderon literally zero. Like there's nothing that changes in Smolderon ever, other than people fucking up and you having to dodge differently. And it's like, okay,
Wait, so
whatever.
what?
The
So what
orbs, I
controls?
guess.
What controls the direction the waves go?
The wave directions?
Yeah.
Boss positioning.
What?
You didn't know
Will.
that?
Foreign shaman.
Why? How would I
I always
ever?
wondered.
How would I ever receive that information? I have no source.
you could have talked to me. Yeah, no.
Did I
boss
convince
positioning,
anyone with
I
my
never
Larry
did.
thing?
I never did Rorschach with you guys, other than on
that one that
fucking
awakened?
Awakened,
Yeah,
which
no.
was
There's
a
a
me.
ton of little details like that that I wish were more like commonly known. I
Yeah,
almost
like
wish there was less
Rashok
like
has a
that.
ton of them, like a ton. Like the way that like you can bait everything on Rashok. You can control
I
literally
know
everything.
roughly how the orbs work, but not like.
So like the waves are based how they spawn relative to the slam. So like if the slam's here, right? Then like if boss is here, then the waves would spawn like this. Because like boss is here, you move here, and same applies like if boss was instead here, then waves would spawn like this. So they're always predictable, and you can. That's why like you try to line them up parallel, right? Because if it's parallel, like let's say that this is a cinder conduit right here, you have this parallel right here, then this one's going to spawn in the same pattern because it's parallel with the boss and parallel with the conduit, and that's also why in our
what?
kill, you have the boss standing here, and you want it. Tank positioning should be where the slam is actually coming from. Like, okay, it should come out from the center. The boss should be at the furthest point away from the middle. So he should be here, and he should be slamming here so that you bait waves into not the slam. But if you position boss where we did here, then that changes your wave spawns to instead be here, pretty much. So you have waves coming into the slam.
Wait, what? What?
Dude, Rashok
Wait,
is
I'm just so
super giga
confused.
brain.
So wait, what is it? Are the waves spawning
So
like slightly?
the waves basically spawn at the top of his hitbox and the bottom of his hitbox, essentially, and then parallel on the other side. That's basically
Huh.
how it works. And that's how it's baitable. But it
So
locks
wait,
in.
if
It's
you
kind of
just
like the
stand on top
Smolderon
of the boss
natives.
every time, so if you just stand with,
Well, that's why the
I
boss
mean, I
moves
guess
so
that
much,
makes
right? Because it
sense.
moves this way and it moves this way a lot. And like the boss is moving around all the time. So that's why it's difficult. Because like when does the first wave spawn happen? It's whenever he's on top of he just slammed and then wave spawn. So it locks in whenever he's at the slam positioning. So you can manipulate the boss actually after orb spawn to be able to get a better wave spawn.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean that's cool. I didn't know it was controllable.
Yeah. And it's controllable in the same way that, like, if this is the boss room, the boss is here, you basically draw a circle around him, and this is his possible spawns, and it reflects off of slams. So let's say there's a slam here, then it would instead reflect back this way and be able to
Yeah, it
spawn now
reflects off
here,
the slabs
and
and the
then
walls.
it reflects off the walls, yeah. And it
Yeah.
also
No, I
actually,
know
fun
that.
fact, it reflects on where the group is as well. So like if the primary raid spot technically is here, like the conduit's here, and we have a couple range that are standing a little
Is
far
that
out,
like something that
it'll reflect out.
is tracked, like the average location of players?
Yes, it is. There's a lot of mechanics that
I
are
did.
baited based on average range location and average melee location.
Who had the most similar lists?
Uh,
I'm gonna go to sleep too. Good night.
have a good night.
Good night,
Like,
Chrissy. I'm not far behind him.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah, same.
Hey, Alec, remember when you
Fucking
said you wanted to
late.
go to bed at like 2?
Yeah,
There's no way to find out, right?
I'm stupid.
Light and Alec are really close, sorta.
Yay!
I think, kinda. Your top end is very close. I'm an outlier pretty much in its entirety, almost, which I'm surprised at. I thought I had some pretty neutral takes. I didn't think that my only hot take I thought would be like Razageth and Nimue would be a lot higher than most people.
I mean, I honestly could have moved like Raz, Amalgam.
Yeah, you can tell that I'm the
Sark.
biggest outlier because you see like 1 Smolderon I have at 8, 2 Farak I have it at 5, T-Swift I have there, Rashok I have there, Razageth I have there. Taros is actually at 6, Kurog is 14, Sarkareth is 9, Nimue's 4. Versus like you look at Light's list, Smolderon, Rashok, Fyrak, Tendril, like Taros, Kurog. Generally all the same.
I have a very normie take, apparently.
What was
Well, keep in
the
mind
worst?
we did have 3 healers here.
What was the worst hot
Yeah, that's
take?
true.
Was it Larry?
It was Council.
Council's fucking horrible. Igira's also horrible. Council and Igira are
Especially
easily the
after
worst.
100 pulls. How
Okay,
how do you
I'll
have any love for that boss left
let
after
me
that point?
let
Oh
me pull
my
it back a
god.
little bit. So we had 65 pulls before we killed it. But it was after the kill that really started getting frustrating because we couldn't fucking get that on farm, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think like I completely understand Alec liking Nelf. That's fine because it's
Yeah.
awakened.
Nelf.
I don't really get the Kurok take, but I understand like theme.
Shaman.
Yeah, I
It's
get
funny
those.
that I just
Eagles,
guessed
big
that.
nums.
And like I don't really understand the gnarl root love, but other than that,
Naruto, I could change it potentially, but it
I
was
get
mostly just
liking
damage
Larry.
amp and ads.
I can understand this. Like this is understandable at least. Someone had Broodkeeper really high. Oh, you had Broodkeeper really high, but that's heroic.
Yeah.
Dude, I
don't
hate that.
think-
I hate
think-
that fight.
I think
It's also
Broodkeeper
a
and
healer
Heroic
on the boss
sucks
without
just as
dealing with
much.
eggs. Take.
Yeah.
Like, You have the same. I mean, I did that, but I hated it because I had no agency over whether we wiped. I just hoped that we
You
had
just
okay
exist.
HD. I really hoped we had fucking people who knew how to do eggs. Like,
I just blasted heels,
yeah,
man. I don't know.
look at our Yara.
Yeah, I closed it. My bad. Yeah, no, I think this list is. I disagree with it, but it's reasonable. Like it's around what I. Nothing is really super outlier in this list for me, other than like Smolderon and Kurog are big. Everything else is reasonable, I guess.
I think they should have nerfed Kurog's health, or not Kurog, Jesus Christ, Smolderon's health like slightly, and then made the last world in flames the enrage, and removed that last like 30 seconds because I think it's anticlimactic.
I just feel like they put like we're talking about Kurog. I kind of spaced
No,
out.
you're talking about he was
Although
just
I
talking
don't
about
know, it was
Smolderon.
kind of fun on our kill
Oh, my bad.
this week. It like I mean we were down to the fucking wire, though we had a bunch of people dead.
Yeah, that shit would never fly with Rush.
You know, Rashok's DPS check was so much tighter than anything else this whole expansion. Like way,
Yeah,
way tighter.
yeah, and the healing check was also pretty fucking bonkers.
It was
I think Rashok
brutal.
was the tightest tuned boss this entire expansion by a decent margin. Like as far as like
Yeah,
you went to Enrage and you were at 0% mana for healers like every time.
yeah. It felt good to just absolutely blast on Rorschach too. Oh my god.
I feel like that should have been like the
I would
second to
literally
last boss.
I would have 40 rejuves out for like 40 seconds straight. It was fucking bonkers.
That's fucking wild.
It was crazy. Now
Let's
God fucking Rift Flourish.
let's just hope
Yeah,
that the next raid is badass.
I fucking wish